Hey everybody, what's going on? It is a little bit bright, but oh well, what are you gonna do? It looked okay earlier, so we're just gonna leave it like this. That's all I gotta say. But hey, how's everybody doing? Thank you everybody for the birthday wishes. My birthday is Tuesday, so I'm guessing we'll probably, we'll do a Monday night stream, like a movie review like we usually do, so that's closer. But this is like the Sidetracks that's closest to the birthday.
Yeah,
so,
she won't be here for the birthday thing. She's going to be visiting her brothers and sisters.
Well, I'll be here Monday night.
Monday, yeah.
But the Wednesday night show, I think I mentioned this on the last show that we did on Wednesday night. Probably the normal Wednesday night show this week, I'm probably going to move it till Thursday because I'm probably not going to be home on Wednesday in time to do the show. So we'll probably move it to Thursday. I don't know what the topic's going to be yet because the poll just went up this morning and the poll doesn't close until Sunday. So that's how we find out how the shit is. Camp Guy said, 2 of the craziest stories I've heard lately, Larry Ray and the Sarah Lawrence college girl case. I have not heard of that. And the worst Munchausen syndrome story I've ever heard, Gypsy Rose Blanchard. I think that we did a show about her. Or I think we did a show not entirely about her, but I think we did like a Munchausen by proxy type thing, or like cases like that, and she was one of the ones we talked about, I thought.
I don't remember that.
That was the one with, yeah, cause he just said it's like the mom made Gypsy Rose ride around in a wheelchair even though she could walk and told her she had muscular dystrophy. Yeah. Like, and all those other diseases.
I think so, yeah.
And then didn't the daughter end up killing the mom? Like with her and her boyfriend?
Something like
that. Or
yeah.
something like that. It was a crazy, yeah, I think we talked about it.
How long did it take her to figure out there was nothing wrong with her?
I think she was a teenager.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Wow.
Can you imagine? Yeah, Camp Guy said, who would put a healthy kid in a wheelchair and tell them they couldn't walk? Crazy
nut.
People, that too.
Yeah, total nut.
But that's a thing. Munchausen by proxy.
I'm just saying, if the doctor fucking did that to her, she deserved what she got. You know?
Yeah, it's like, I think when we talked about the story, I was just kind of like, yeah, I don't really advocate murder or anything like that. But it's like, yeah, she kind of had it coming. Yeah. She kind of had it coming.
Yeah, the white man's law wouldn't approve of it, but I don't care what the white man's law says.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time.
Camp Guy said, yeah, her mom got her as a poster child for the Special Olympics. Yeah. Yeah, she told her she had all kind of diseases, and she didn't know any different. You know what I mean? I guess. Zach's also says, telling me happy birthday, so thank you very much for that. Said he had a gig Sunday shooting a music video. Ooh, that's pretty cool. Yeah, tell us about that on Monday. That would be cool. So yeah, it's Friday night. We're just here.
Weekend's coming.
Hanging out, having a drink.
Yeah, we're fucking staying home. We're broke, man.
We're fucking broke.
We think we're broke, you know.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see how shit goes.
We had a couple good nights fucking doing our side projects, and then the past 3 days just fucking seemed like all traffic just vanished.
Yeah, it's been really weird, and it's not just us. It's not just
everybody.
us. It's like everybody's having a hard time, like over on StreamMate.
Yeah.
So
we had a good night, and then it shut down. The next day, we made like $85 in about 2.5 hours.
Yeah, not even
about 2 hours.
Yeah.
And
we were like, woo.
Yeah. Tomorrow we're gonna make a shit ton. We're gonna make 150. Tomorrow.
And there was like nobody.
Yeah,
there was like nobody.
There. You just sit there live, and nobody comes in. One guy comes in and he leaves.
Yeah. And it's like not even because if you when you do it, it's like you can see your little chat window, right? And you can see like when somebody who's a member that's like signed in, like when they come in the room, it's like boink and like it makes a noise and like their name comes up.
Yeah.
But if there are people looking at your channel or your room
from outside
and they're not members, you can't see their names or nothing, but you can see how many of them there are.
Well, it's also members who press the screen and don't go in, but it starts to move.
Right.
Like I do.
So you have like a preview of what's going on.
Yeah, they can't hear you, but you're a little small icon. And
yeah, they're seeing what you're doing in there.
Yeah, they're waiting for something, waiting for you to get active or whatever. But just foot traffic. We call it foot traffic because it's like being in a damn store. And
dick traffic.
Yeah. Everybody's kind of trying to jerk off.
Little dicks coming by like that.
You know, I need to jerk off. All right, they can be free. So anyway, the traffic just fucking died, man. And so I go through. So I'm seeing who else is in our region, which is the English-speaking region. there's all these babes of fucking all different ages, ranging from like 18 to 60. And yeah, they do have some babes on there. They're like 58, 59. And,
there are, yeah.
Yeah, they look real good. And they get busy. They got a lot of fucking fans, young guys. And I'm scrolling through there to see what everybody's doing, and they're all just looking bored as shit.
They're all on their phones and shit.
Yeah. Some girls are fucking on all fours trying to shake their ass and spinning the damn, trying to get you to spin the wheel. Nothing. And then you at the very bottom of the list, you can see who's in shows at any one time. And out of 270 babes, a lot of them hot. Most of them hot. At about 270 of them, there might be only 10 of them in a show at any one time. So
yeah,
that's fucking pitiful.
Which means the traffic's
very slow. Yeah.
Which is bad.
Yeah, and they're and you see like nearly 300 of them online at once, which means everybody's hurting for money. So they're all in there at once, working the worst hours.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, which is middle of the day here. You know, but they're just working long hours, and usually, you know, it kind of comes in spurts. In our time zone, for some reason, morning's really good because you can pick up, I guess England is late at night there.
Well, it's not late at night, but it's like later afternoon.
Later afternoon?
Yeah.
Right. So you'll get British customers early. And then between 8 and 1, you'll get more American customers. It's getting later. But it's worldwide, though. It's weird. It comes, but then they're like that seems like, and it's just not me, you know. I'll talk to Bill about it because his wife is fucking streaming constantly. Not only on that platform, on a whole bunch of other ones. She'll jump on other ones, but they're token sites, and I hate those.
Yeah.
Which there's a lot of it's in public.
Yeah, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, fuck that. And then, but it's like that, like 9 o'clock until 8 is kind of dead.
Yeah.
Or right, or no, 12. Probably around 12, huh? 10, yeah. 12, 10, 11 to about 8 is pretty dead. Like, just weird. I don't understand it.
Yeah,
we're supposed to be worldwide, so I don't know. Me and Bill were talking about we think that maybe Stream made us somehow gaming algorithms.
Yeah, maybe.
They might be doing it because they don't have bandwidth, maybe.
Well, we have noticed that it didn't happen today because we were on for a few hours today, but our camera goes black sometimes.
Yeah.
And at first we thought it was the camera. It's not this camera. We actually use a different camera for that because the other camera has a light on it. But I was just noticing that every now and then, like, it would just go dark. Like people could still hear us.
Yeah.
But it went dark, and a couple times it happened like in the middle of a show, and I was just like, well, shit, that's not good.
Yeah, lost money.
Yeah. But I don't think it's the camera. I think it's them.
Yeah.
Because sometimes their shit's like real glitchy. Like if you can go, like Tom will go on there to see who else is on or see how, like, what the competition is and stuff. And we'll go on there and he'll be like, okay, well, how many people are streaming in, you know, the English speaking region? And it's like, it'll say like 25 people. And I'm just like, that's impossible. Because usually it's usually around 200, between 200 and 300. That's generally like what it is at whatever time that you check.
They're saying everybody's broke.
Well, you know.
Bidenomics. Yeah. Kill the sex industry.
Well,
nobody has extra money.
Well, I haven't had extra money since 2016, so I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Not as many
actually, I haven't had extra money since way before that.
Not as many people with extra money.
So I don't know if it's anything to do with that. I think that's just like a steady decline since the fucking 1970s, probably.
Yeah, it is.
But it's just kind of like,
just the dying end.
I haven't had extra money for decades.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's a new thing.
Well, they sent all the jobs abroad.
Yeah. Zach said he went to the bathhouse again.
Did he? Yeah.
Played it smart this time. Only had soreness in places that don't make sense as a consequence. Said it actually is impressive how many muscles you don't realize you use when banging someone. Next day it's like, why is my neck stiff? And why do I have tennis elbow in my knees?
It's your head jerking up and down. and then the other dude, you're doing this. That's what happened.
Tom knows exactly what was going on.
Yeah, in my mind, I see it.
In your mind.
Now y'all are.
Now y'all are. Oh my god. Ah, that's fucking, yeah.
Cheating on me, Zach.
Oh.
Yeah. Fucking ruining my Gavin Friday song. Me and you up in the fucking penthouse. In the bubble bath.
With all the dudes with like angel wings and
Angel
stuff.
Wings and shit all around.
Yeah.
Jen's got the camera. It's fucking bubbles blowing through the air.
Bubbles,
Bubble machine.
Pink balloons.
Yeah.
Heart-shaped tub.
Hell yeah, 360-degree view. Looking overseeing Las Vegas.
Yeah. It's gotta be Las Vegas.
Gavin Friday's Angel, that song playing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you've seen Baz Luhrmann's Romeo and Juliet, that song is
that's
in
the
there.
song I'm talking about.
And Tom loves that song.
I love that song.
So I put it.
That's the only good Gavin Friday song. Is that one, if you ask me. I don't like any of his other shit.
But
I checked it and I was like, his other shit isn't that good.
But that's a good one. I even put it on the playlist on Tom's playlist.
Yeah.
So you'll hear that, and then you'll hear like fucking Judas Priest like right after that, or Motorhead or something.
I don't have any Motorhead in there.
I have some Motorhead. On
did you put some in there?
I have a little some Motorhead. On. Remember we heard it in the car.
I don't remember Motorhead.
Heart-shaped vibrating bed. Yeah, exactly. That's kind of what I'm picturing. Camp Guy said, I'll be starting to draw Social Security checks in about a week or so. Ooh, lucky.
I'm going to put some more vodka.
I'm just kind of like, I even looked the other day, because I don't even know what the age is now. I was like, when can I get Social Security? Am I old enough? No, I'm not. I probably have to, I think isn't it 65 or 64 for women? I don't even remember what it is. So I'm just like, oh my god, that's still like fucking 15 years away, or like, it just seems like such a long time. I'm like, really, I have to like scrape together enough money to live like until I get that, and I won't even get that much, because I think it's because isn't Social Security, don't they take like an average of your, what is it, your 10 or 12 highest paid years? Isn't that what they do? And then and Social Security.
I don't know.
And then that's what they give you like monthly.
I
I was like, well, I never really made all that much money, so yeah. Camp Guy said I just turned 62, the absolute youngest you can start. Oh, okay, yeah. Still.
Shit. Okay, I'm gonna go apply. Yeah,
Well,
7 years.
well, that's what I mean. It's like you're a lot like closer than I am.
Yeah.
I think you get less if you go in early. Like if you wait till you're 65, I think that you get the full amount. But I think if you go 62, like they don't.
Well, I just put it in my VA stuff.
Yeah, that's what Camp Guy said. You take a reduced benefit that young.
Yeah.
We're kind of hoping that that VA benefit yours goes up because you got married.
Getting married, yeah, should go up a couple $100.
I mean, we went online and put me as a dependent.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes.
Should go up some.
They're supposed to send us back. I think they said they were going to send like something through the mail, like within a week or something. So I think it was just the other day that we
did that. Something we got to fill out.
I think they just said that if they need any more shit, like if they need to see like the marriage certificate, or if they need to see like my tax forms or whatever bullshit, then you know what I mean. Yeah, Murder Hornet said, Tom, can you get Social Security and VA benefits?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, I thought everybody got Social Security.
Yeah, you can get federal and state.
Like as long as you had paid into it, like over your working years, then yeah, I thought everybody got it.
You can also get stuff from your state sometimes. I haven't tried Florida, but I'm thinking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's probably some stuff that the state can give you for being a disabled veteran.
Yeah.
Probably shit like food stamps. But hey, that's less money you've spent on food.
That's what I mean. I was like, shit, man, I'll take it.
Yeah.
Give me that shit.
The feds will give you food stamps too, but you got to apply for them, and I don't really quite know how to do it. I got to start playing that VA system. It's rife. It's filled to the brim with money. Fucking.
That's what I mean. They got money. Make them give you some.
The military-industrial complex, all of it is a fucking grift. The U.S. military is a grift. Fucking officer corps, total fucking grift. All the fucking military academies, grift. And all the fucking support businesses that are around it, it's all grift. We have a huge fucking military budget, and everything's like fucking second or third rate. Because most of it goes to all that grift and all that fucking pay. And going to, I mean, there's fucking, I think there's like 400 generals and like 100 and something of them are 4-star generals. Yeah, you know what I mean? Those dudes are getting hundreds of thousands of dollars a month. You don't need that many generals. But they got to have some place to put all these flunky rich kids. That's all they are. Flunky rich kids. That's from families. They were the flunkies from rich families. That make them a general.
John Gora said they need to see the sex streams. They're not going to see too much in public, like I said. We don't do all that much.
You don't do it in public.
Yeah, you just got to. So you got to pay. You got to pay.
You got to pay. You got to go private. Or
I mean, unless somebody that paid like recorded that shit somehow and then like sold it somewhere. I mean, I guess people could find it then, but I don't think so.
Well, we have video.
I don't think so. Yeah, that too. Video. That too.
You can buy it. You know, eventually everything leaks, but we didn't do the video to make money. We didn't do video to make money.
Yeah.
Mostly just did video to get street cred.
Right. Yeah, well, I mean, you know, well, they take a little bit longer to make, but...
Yeah. We got to go make some more.
We got to make some more eventually.
Yeah. Jenny's fucking looking really good, so her new figure is fucking killer. Her legs are getting really fucking good.
Man, I was looking at, we were on StreamMate today, and we kind of had like normally we'd sit in the chairs, but we had like a kind of little pallet on the floor today, because we were trying out some different shit. And I'm looking at the fucking monitor, and I'm sitting there going, oh my god, that doesn't even look like my leg anymore.
Yeah.
Because it's like so much thinner.
Yeah, it's real lean.
I was like, whose leg is that? Oh, lean, it's my leg.
And starting to see a bunch of muscles in it.
It's like so weird.
Yeah.
It was so weird that it's like looked like somebody else.
She's changing so quickly. The skin's having a hard time keeping up with the structural changes that are happening in there. She's losing a lot of fat, building a lot of muscle.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
Hopefully it'll sort itself out.
Yeah, it will.
Hopefully.
It wouldn't normally, but your endocrine system isn't normal right now. So everything is working at an accelerated rate. Like 3 times what a teenage girl would be doing.
Yeah.
And all that progesterone in there too, which kind of works as testosterone for women. It's a testosterone-like analog substance called nandrolone. And nandrolone produces a lot of progesterone, which doesn't really do a whole lot in guys, but in women it's like they blossom in it. That's part of it. It makes you real feminine looking. Feminine and strong, kind of look, which is a weird combination. You can't replicate a teenage girl's metabolisms, and then you can't accelerate it to like 3 times what a teenage girl is. She would be crazy as fuck. You couldn't do it, and she would probably get really fat. Probably would, because
no one wants to be
the
fat
hormonal
and
profile is kind of odd. So you have to kind of move in another direction, more towards progesterone, which is what you'd use in birth control pills, but it's mixed with 19-nortestosterone.
Zach says, that reminds me, I weighed myself earlier, 202. Back in April, I was almost 230.
Damn, you fat.
Well, he just said, I hope I don't go back to 155 ever again. That was too skinny for me to look like a zombie.
Yeah, how tall are you?
Well, he's 5'9".
It's pretty.
Yeah, 155 is too thin for a 5'9" person.
Yeah, probably.
I would think.
Yeah.
That seems like it would be
I
too
weigh
thin
about
for a dude.
About 180 right now. 180 at 5'6", and about 11%. Somewhere between 11 and 13% body fat, which is pretty lean.
Yeah.
I only have love handles now.
And you don't even really have that like you used to.
Right. Don't even, yeah.
They were never that bad. I know you were kind of like
I always wanted
V-tape about it.
I always wanted V-taper. I didn't like having a blocky upper body. I wanted to have like a classic physique, like from the 60s, 50s and the 60s, that fucking wasp waist that, like Arnold and a lot of those bodybuilders have that kind of real fucking little waist. Which you can get that. You just have to do a lot of deadlift gear and just pile a lot of fucking muscle onto your upper body, and you'll kind of get that V-taper. It takes time, especially at my age.
Yeah, well, like I said, you got to think that most people your age are not doing what you're doing. So
I'm not going to get where I want. Actually, I'm not going to get where I want to go until probably about another 2-3 years.
Yeah,
and I'll be a lot closer to where I want to be. I'm what? How many years in am I? Not HRT, but just gear. 2 years?
Maybe.
I think maybe 2 years.
Maybe not even that long.
Maybe not even that long. Might be 18 months, huh?
Because you started at the test clinic when we were still at the house in Sanford at the old house.
I started gear here.
Yeah, and we've only been at this house for less than 2 years.
Okay, so it might have been about 18 months.
I think we moved in because we moved right around my birthday.
Yeah.
So we're coming up on 2 years that we've been in this house, which is crazy.
Yeah.
It seemed like we just fucking moved here. That's how fast shit goes.
When you start fucking with HRT and gear at my age, you see a difference in a year easily. You saw it in a year.
Yeah.
You saw it with just test in a couple years. It actually test you could see the difference in about 6 months, I would think. Yeah. I felt better instantly.
You did. I remember.
Yeah, I was just fuck, man. I was like, oh, I forgot what this felt like. Yeah, I'm a man. God, I want a piece of that ass. Fucking look at Jen. Hold me back. Let's go fuck this chick. You're like a damn fucking dog in heat, man. You're just going back and.
You were like that for a while.
Yeah, and then you kind of, then it kind of normalizes again. You get used to it, but when you haven't had it.
Although you're still kind of like that now.
Well, that's because gear.
Yeah.
That
Although I'm kind of like that.
And
too,
then
so.
yeah, does the same thing to women. Remember that bodybuilder chick Chelsea that I showed you?
Yeah.
You should hear her talking on her fucking on her. She's on a lot of shit. She's on basically male level protocols, and she's just talking about what a sex machine she is. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that she says I'm worse than a teenage boy, much worse.
Yeah.
She says if I want you, I'm gonna fuck you.
Ooh.
Because you're probably not strong enough to stop me.
Well, damn, that's a little threatening.
Yeah, her arms are huge. Oh man, fucking most dudes are like, okay, all right.
Well, yeah, it's
whatever
not.
You want,
it's
man.
not as threatening
This is
the
a
other
girl.
way around.
Yeah, she's a cute girl. It's fucking huge.
If like a dude said that, I'd be like, oh my god, have him arrested.
Nah, she can get what she wants. And she's talking about gym rats.
Right.
She's talking about down in the gym.
Right.
And those dudes are up for that. They're like, yeah, okay, then. Yeah, I'll be at your house. Go on. Get your car.
But I mean, it's kind of good because since we've been doing Stream Aid and you have to do it for that long, you kind of have to be sort of into it, or because a lot of it's
people our age would not be able to keep up with that pace with normal endocrine system of the 50s. That's why those older senior porn stars look the way that they do.
Yeah,
is they're not normal.
Yeah.
They're on stuff.
Camp Guy says, my wife and I always lived paycheck to paycheck, and now that I'm older, my parents passed away, I inherited a bunch of property, and now we old and retired, but we can buy shit. Yeah, that's awesome.
You make enough money to cover the taxes?
I guess
property taxes are fucking... If you don't have any money...
Because he was saying earlier, he was like, I'm rich, bitch.
Yeah, some states
that's
purposely, especially up in the Northeast, purposely try to fuck people over. Like, there was... My buddy, Eric, who I went to Army with, was dating a girl who was friends with another girl who was from, I think, Newton, which is a rich neighborhood. It's either Newton or Wellesley. Her parents got killed in a car wreck.
Yikes.
She inherited everything. But it was like a multi-million-dollar estate, fucking big pieces of property and everything. She didn't have enough income to even pay the property tax. They took everything from her. She lost everything. Ain't that some shit?
Well, that's what I mean. It's just kind of like
took her shit.
That's why I would not like, because you know how they have these, periodically they'll have these contests where it's like, let's win this $1 million house. I'm like, yeah, no, thank you. It's like, why don't you just give me $1 million? How about that?
Yeah.
It's like, I don't want to deal with that fucking mess.
She tried to put that property up for sale, and it wouldn't sell because everybody knew.
Right.
Everybody knew all they had to do was wait it out, and she would lose that shit, and you could get it.
And then they
could
get it for free. Yeah.
Get it for super cheap.
That's fucked up.
Yep.
But that's what I mean.
Sorry for her. She was only like 22.
Yeah, I wouldn't really get into property or anything like that. It's just, it's more trouble than it's worth, you know?
Depends on what the property is and where it is.
Yeah, it depends on where it is. Because there's no guarantee that you're ever going to be able to sell it.
I kind of like Tim Pool, what Tim Pool did. I don't know if you know who he is. He's a famous YouTuber. He got big. All right, he's a little skateboard beanie, half Korean guy who started basically having his own little news channel. And he was an investigative reporter. I think he came from he came from Vice. That's where he came from. Back when Vice was good. He moved out in the middle of nowhere. But he was one of these guys that made a shit ton of fucking ad revenue on YouTube. You know, he had millions of subscribers. He bought a fucking compound. You know, I think it's like a 3-story house with a big compound. It's got chicken coops and farms, and he's got a lot of his friends living with him, running the farm. They're damn near off the grid. They're making their own food and shit. And he just streams from there, and he flies in. Basically celebrity guests. They're online celebrities, you know, and flies them in, and they'll fucking they'll stream for a couple days straight because he has so many spare rooms they could just stay with him.
Yeah.
And he's basically running like a little news channel. He kind of like Vice. It's like running it from his house, and I think it was Virginia. You correct me if I'm wrong. I think it was Virginia, but he bought that shit for next to nothing. Big piece of property. Big house on it.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you're willing to live out in the middle of nowhere, then obviously you can get shit for a lot cheaper than if you want to live somewhere where shit's
and it's all paid for.
He
was able to pay for it off within a few years. And I think it's got a fucking airstrip so people can land private airplanes and shit. So that's pretty cool, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Zach says, definitely worrying about my folks at the moment. Mom's still sick. Dad's not working yet. And we might have money issues involving our house. And I don't have a backup plan in case shit goes tits up here. Yeah, that's the thing. I try to have backup plans, but for some reason nothing ever works out, you know what I mean? So, I don't know. Like I said, we're still doing Stream Mate. We haven't, I've been kind of freaking out a little bit just because the last couple of days have been really bad. Like, we only picked up, like, we did really good one night, and then, like, the next day there was, like, nobody. And I think we made, like, $4 or something. Like, we weren't on all day or anything, but we were on for, like, several hours, and I was like, fuck this, there's, like, nobody here. Yeah. And, so, I don't know. I'm still, like, applying for, remote work, like, graphic design stuff and stuff, because I was like, well, at least I have another skill, like, something else that I can do. But even then, it's like, that's real hit or miss, because there's so much competition.
Yeah.
But
today, you got to be real fucking flexible. You got to have a lot of different fucking fires burning. We got a lot of income streams, but they don't make much money. You need a lot of them.
And that's what I mean, and it's so I have to keep track of like all of these million little bitty things
streams.
every now and then. It's like $100 here, a couple $100 there, shit like that. But it's just kind of like it's exhausting, like keeping up with.
You probably forget to check some of that shit too.
I probably do.
Yeah. They're talking about Tim Pool being an ass and fucking that he's a normie. Tim Pool's a milquetoast fence sitter, but during that last election, if you said anything that YouTube didn't like, they'd fucking yank your monetization. So he had to be real careful about what he said. So he had to back off at everything. He would sound real neutral for a long time, but that's just the problem with YouTube.
Well,
you can't really say what's on your mind. You can lose your shit. We lose income just by doing a lot of these serial killer shows. Because we'll speak our minds about it, and we'll use keywords that the AI algorithms will it'll yank monetization.
Yeah, a lot of our videos
they're demonetized.
Are not,
And I can't believe this channel's still running with some of the shit that I said. I would have thought that the fucking whole channel would be taken down.
Nah, we don't. Like I said, really, the only thing that happens is, about 50% of the time, like it's limited ad revenue, or they don't give any ad revenue because it's usually like a serial killer topic or something like that. So we do have that happen. Like I said, I've only ever had one copyright strike, and it was bullshit, and I fought it, and they put it back up because it was bullshit.
Yeah, it was fucking Sharknado. Or
No, it was the Meg 2.
The Meg 2. Meg 2.
And they took the video down.
Yeah, and we gave it a good review. Didn't make any fucking sense.
Well, like I said, that wasn't YouTube. That was Warner Brothers.
That was Warner Brothers.
So I bitched, and I was just kind of like, what the fuck? We didn't even say anything on there. Like, we didn't even use any footage.
It's back up, though.
They put it back up, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I was like, don't you fuck with me.
The Meg 2, I thought was better than the Meg. It was just a good theater movie.
Just a big dumb
action.
Which
flick.
reminds me, Expendables 4 started today.
It did, but we can't really afford
I know,
to
I'm too broke to go see it.
Yeah.
We just watched, actually, after the other show the other night, we watched, what did we watch, part 3?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay, that was part 3.
The director's cut of part 3.
Definitely had not seen that one before.
It was director's cut of part 3.
I don't think I saw the second one either, because you said the second one had Chuck Norris in it.
The second one's got Chuck Norris.
And I was just like, I'm sure that I didn't see the Chuck Norris one. I must have only seen the first one, then.
Some people didn't like Expendables 3, but I evidently the theatrical cut isn't that good. I've never seen the theatrical cut.
It was all right.
I've never seen the theatrical cut. I've only seen the director's cut. That's what we watched. I liked it.
John Gora said, my backup plan is dying. Yeah. We're in the same boat, I think. That's just kind of like, it's depressing, but I mean, I keep trying to do shit, but you know, when you have a couple of days where you're just kind of like, okay, we have like a goal every day. We need to make this amount of money. And when you don't even like get close to it, I start flipping out a little bit. Not gonna lie. So, I don't know. I'm trying not to flip out. I'm just trying to be like, oh, well, you know, tomorrow's another day and maybe shit'll be different and stuff like that. But we'll see. Zach says there's a cool looking movie coming out soon called All of Us Strangers, like a romantic ghost story movie about these two dudes who hook up and one of them talking with his parents' ghosts. I kind of want to see it. That does sound kind of cool, actually. John Goris also says, I watched Roman Polanski's Frantic the other night. Great movie. Had the proper brutal cynicism and romantic sweetness of noir. I don't think I've ever seen that. I've seen most of his movies, but I don't think I've ever seen that one. Or if I did, I didn't remember it. I must have seen it a long time ago. But that's another one that I'll probably have to revisit. You know what I mean? So, you know. Let's see. What else can we talk about? Tom's spacing out.
Nah.
Scratching his beard.
Yeah. Becoming more wise. I got that fucking light up too high, but I'm just gonna leave it there.
Yeah, because I noticed that. That's not normally.
That's not normally there.
That's not normally where it is.
Yeah, I was tripping.
We usually have it like right. I don't know what you were.
I had an erection at the time.
You did. I know.
Yes.
It was sucking all your brain power.
Yeah.
Well, what we were trying to do this morning is Tom was like, he's like, I want to try an experiment where he's like, I'll still be in the room and everything, but I'm going to be off camera. He's like, because he wanted to see if the traffic would be better if it was just me.
Yeah, we just had just a picture of her.
So we just did like the photo of me instead of both of us.
They were coming in there asking where I was.
Yeah, and then, so that was... I was like, well, that didn't work, I guess.
Well, I think it's because the name of the damn channel, too.
Well, yeah, that is one.
So they knew it was...
Yeah, because somebody came in, and because Tom's like, well, you know, just when they come in, just like flirt with them and stuff. But then they were all asking, it's like, oh, you know, can you have... And then, like, the one guy asked me, he's like, well, are you alone? And I was like, yeah. And then he's like, oh, that's too bad. Like, where's the... He's like, I wanted to see, you know... I'm not gonna like elaborate, but it's like he wanted to see that,
So
and I was like, oh, okay, well, he's there, so you know what I mean. So we did that, but it was just kind of funny that it's just kind of, I guess everyone's just gotten used to like, because I don't look at the site myself, like I'm not a member of it, and then I look at it.
Well, they recognize us.
So yeah, so I think that everybody's kind of used to, because even the one guy came in and he's just like, well, what, you know, even though it was just me. He was like, well, what are the protocols? Like, what do you guys do, like, on the couple cams? So I think that, so most people are kind of expecting it to be two people.
Yeah.
We were wondering sometimes...
Which, that kind of helps in some ways, because if you go on there and searching for couples in our region, the English region, we're only going to have 1 or 2 other couples there, so there's usually only 3 on at one time.
Yeah.
And then there might be a 4th one, and that's going to be 2 girls or 3 girls. They had 3 British girls on there today.
Yeah, there was 3 of them.
Yeah, they didn't last long though. For some reason, traffic didn't favor them. I don't know why. They were all cute. They were all young.
Yeah, we looked in there. They were just all laying around like looking at their phones.
And I was just like, and they were all like 7.5s and 8s, blondes. British blondes.
That made me not feel as bad. Well, obviously I still feel bad because I'm not making any money. But I was like, well, nobody else is making any money either.
No.
So it's not that it's just kind of like, ew, we don't want to look at that girl. It was just like even all the hot chicks were like sitting there going,
getting bored, going, what the fuck? Where is everybody?
Where is everybody? So
yeah, there was like they were these are early to mid 20s. Those 3 girls.
Yeah.
So you think that they would, in a healthy situation. I don't know if it's just stream, maybe there's something wrong with the algorithms, or if it's just the economy. Normally, those girls would be fucking slammed.
Yeah. And I don't know if it's just like the timing, because it does seem like some days we go on and it's real busy. Like people are just coming in and out all the time, and it's like a lot of people are in shows and shit like that. So maybe it's just like a weird, I don't know, maybe it's just like a weird time. It just kind of comes and goes. It's just really, you never know.
Evidently the economy in Europe is really starting to fucking suck. That's a big problem right there. The economy's not real great in the United States. It's going state by state. Evidently Florida and Texas are still fucking running strong, but a lot of the other states aren't doing it. New York's not doing too well. California's not doing too well. The Chicago area's not doing too well. My dad in Mississippi says he's never seen Mississippi such a ghost town. And Mississippi's been depressed for 150 years. Since the fucking War of Northern Aggression, fucking Mississippi's been fucked up. And he says he's never seen it this bad. Yeah, that's fucking spooky.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Like I said, just trying to fucking scrape together a living.
Yeah. Although, the coast is probably doing good though. I mean, he's inland. He's in central Mississippi. Mississippi Gulf Coast is usually fucking slammed because of all the casinos.
That's the thing. It's just, I don't know. I've been, kind of poor my whole life. So it's not like I'm not used to it. It's just like the older you get, like the more it starts to suck, because you're like, really, it shouldn't be like this anymore. You know what I mean? You get kind of tired of just constantly like not having money, and it just really blows. John says, I'd watch a couple cam of a couple just fighting, not getting along. I'm sure there's probably like a niche for that. We've noticed that there are some people, and I don't really know how popular these are, but there does seem to be a niche for like people sleeping, like people watching people sleep, which I get it. I guess it's kind of like a voyeur type of thing, but I was like, man, I need to get in on that. But I don't know like if they're making any money or not. I think what it is they have those tip generated vibrators, and I think they just lay there and sleep, and then somebody tips and like wakes them up or some shit like that. I'm not really sure. Talking about the new iPhone coming out today. I didn't even know about that. My phone is so fucking old. I don't even know and mine's not an iPhone anyway. Mine's like what is mine? Mine's an LG Stylo. And I need to get a new one too, because mine's all busted up. I've dropped it a couple times. The glass is broken. Like the back is kind of popped off like that. And it just does glitchy shit all the time.
You put some more ice. You want to freshen that drink up?
Yeah.
Right.
But can't afford it at the moment, and it's still working, so at least as far as now. John said, sleep, get paid. I could do that. Right, that's what I'm saying. Like I said, I don't really know how. It's just something I've noticed. And this is really weird too. There's this one girl on there that she looks real young. I mean, obviously she has to be over 18 because they vet everybody, but she doesn't look it. She looks like real young. But all we ever see her doing is just sitting and looking at the camera. She's not like talking, she's not doing anything, but she always seems to be like picked up like in shows, you know what I mean? Like, cause you'll see her for a second, like just in her room, just like looking at the camera. And then all of a sudden, whoop, she's like, hey, I'm performing live, like come back later or something like that. And I was like, what is she doing in there? I don't know. Like, I don't know. Like I said, I'm still trying to like figure out we're still trying to figure out like the best way to interact like with the people that come in, because for a while, because Tom's like, oh, every time somebody comes in the room, you should say hi, whatever your screen name is, because it's usually something like, I don't know, feet fucker or something like that. It's well, not always, but a lot of times it is. So so for a while I was doing that, but then I noticed that I was like, most people are just coming in and peeking because they're just like looking in everybody's rooms, like seeing what everybody's doing. So I was like, so I don't know, because I would notice you go, hi, whatever your name is, like, you know, big cuck or whatever, and and then like they would just leave. And so like a lot of people do that. So I'm just kind of like, well, I'm gonna start now like giving people like a 15-second, like if when they come in the room, either they have to say something or they're still there, and then I'll say something to them, because it's like if you say something as soon as they walk in, then they usually just leave. We've also noticed, too, another thing that we've noticed is that if people are going to pay you to do something, then they'll usually do it, like, right away. It's not usually a case where... Because the more they start talking, like, and they're trying to get you to say shit. You know what I mean? So, we've noticed that a lot of people are doing that, too. So... Zach says, might have to look for a new brand, Jenny. LG doesn't make phones anymore, believe it or not. See, that's how fucking old my phone is.
Yeah. That phone takes great pictures, though.
It does. Well, I think most phones take great pictures nowadays.
My tablets don't.
That's true.
Tablets
take
take photos worth shit, man. Fucking terrible photos.
Yeah.
You'd think that as big as it is, they could put a good camera in it.
I guess not.
They cheap out on the fucking camera.
Yeah, what brand is that? I don't even know. I don't even know what your tablet is. I don't know.
LG.
Oh, that's what my phone is. Okay. Yeah, but my phone actually, I take pictures.
Samsung Galaxy. That's what they are.
No, Samsung and LG are two different.
Okay, no, it's a Galaxy then.
Oh, okay.
Samsung Galaxy.
Yeah. Well, I used to have a Samsung Galaxy phone.
Yeah.
But this was because I have Cricket, and I just picked this one because it was kind of like the cheapest one with the most features, like when I was updating. But now I need to update, and I can't really afford to at the moment. But so you know.
They're fighting over the damn swastika.
Yeah, I'm just...
Man, fuck the swastika. When you go to Korea, you're going to see a swastika everywhere. Usually on things kind of like pharmacies, Korean herbal pharmacies, they'll have that on there. It's just basically a yin-yang sign. Mustache Man and the Germans fucking just co-opted that. And if you go back in history to see what they were looking for, Mustache Man was pissed that Russians had all the good shit. He loved the hammered sickle. He thought that was a powerful symbol, and that their party needed something like that. So he just borrowed an Eastern symbol. But it made sense for their movement. It symbolized kind of like a yin-yang symbol. It was the axis upon which the world turned. And later on, they were called the Axis powers, England, Germany, Japan. So they were just change, and it's a solar symbol. But people get all bent out of shape over fucking flags and symbolism. It's all artificial constructs. They're all put together by marketing men who seek power over the weak-minded. So they give them symbols to obey and to follow. I know, I lived it. The military is filled with nothing but symbols to obey.
Don't back up, because Pookie's right behind you.
Little fucking bits of colored cloth that will cause you to kill other people and to kill yourself in fucking combat. All in the name of honor. So, I don't respect any of them, really. For the most part, they're all fake. Fake social constructs by people that seek power. Always. And there's always nowadays in the modern world, corporations do it. Anything they tell you, anything they give you is some kind of mechanism or tool of control, to control and manipulate you. They'll come up with an idea and try to sell it through corporate channels in the mass media, and you would think, boy, those are some good people to promote such great values and all this bull. The people that are promoting that don't give a shit about that. Nothing. They don't care about gay people, black people, white people. They don't care about people at all. They only care about their own money and their own power and to secure it. Don't ever think that anybody cares about you. They don't. Not at all. If you were to die, they would gain from that. That's how much they own this system.
Tammy says, off topic, saw an odd movie on Amazon Prime called Inside, starring Willem Dafoe as an art thief who gets stuck in a luxury penthouse that he was supposed to be robbing and is trapped for quite a while. That actually sounds really good. I like Willem Dafoe a lot, so I might have to watch that. Titanic Discussion says, good evening, is there any way you folks could do reaction videos for movies, or have you seen everything that there is to react to? No,
we've seen everything. To
well, I mean, there is like
not
a lot
new
of
ones.
Yeah, but I mean, a reaction video would kind of be different, I guess.
Be hard to do.
Yeah, I mean, we had thought about it.
Another thing is that would take a lot of time. There isn't a big monetary return on that.
Yeah,
we got to pay bills around this motherfucker. 13 o'clock is a passion project. It doesn't really make money. We do because we like it.
Not much, but yeah. I mean, we do make a little bit of money from it, but not that much. But yeah, we just do it because we enjoy doing it.
Yeah,
pretty much. Tom got me into this reaction show because normally I don't really like those reaction videos. I don't watch a lot of those, but he got me into what the hell's the name of that channel? I can't remember the name of the channel. Are you looking it up?
No.
Oh, okay. Do you remember what the? Yeah. The two like Pakistani
Villagers React or something.
I think it's
like
called
that?
Villagers React or something like that.
Yeah, it's just two Pakistani Muslim guys in their early 20s. What's his name? I forgot their names.
One of them's name is Mansoor.
Mansoor.
And
Mansoor. And the other was
Naveed.
Naveed. Yeah, they're just great guys. Young guys.
They seem really nice.
They've never seen any of these classic flicks like Terminator 1, Terminator 2,
or Alien, Back to the Future.
Yeah, I think they're listening to some kind of foreign dub. I don't think they're reading subtitles. But they're real intelligent guys, and evidently from the middle of nowhere. But they get it. They get it, and it's kind of a testament to old Hollywood. Those old movies, the writing was very good, and everything was universal. You know, any human being could understand those stories and love those characters. I mean, they were getting into Ripley from fucking Alien. They just thought she was the greatest, like a good person, you know. Boy, she's brave, you know.
Yeah.
They became Arnold Schwarzenegger fans.
Yeah.
Yeah, they fucking love Arnold. Just
it's super funny.
Yeah, 80s stuff really spoke to them. But they watched Shrek. They laughed at that. They showed them. They showed another group of guys the new Wednesday Addams. They liked that.
Yeah.
It's better to watch reaction videos to old classic stuff from young people that come from cultures that are totally alien to the culture that those movies came from.
Yeah, because I'm curious to see how well it translates to other cultures.
Yeah. 80s American stuff translates extremely well. Yep.
Yeah, they totally.
Well.
And it's kind of like a across the board. Like I said, it's a lot of like 80s classics. Like they watch Predator and Alien and Aliens, The Thing, The Exorcist.
Yeah. The Thing freaked them out.
It did, yeah.
They had a hard time grasping The Thing in a certain way. They thought it was kind of like possession. It's in him. They keep saying it's in him. No, it's not in him. That's the Thing. It replaced him. It's an imitation of that guy. Yeah.
But I mean, they still got the gist of it.
They got the gist
but
of it.
I think they didn't really. I think the only thing, because we watched last night or the night before, we watched them reacting to Shrek, the original one, and I said I think the only thing, like they thought it was hilarious and they loved Donkey, but I think they didn't, because they don't have the same fairy tales over there, like, so they didn't really get, like, why suddenly these three blind mice are running around, or Snow White is, like, on the table, dead broad, off the table, you know what I mean? Like, they didn't get why, like, all of that was happening, like the Pinocchio thing and all that, because they don't have those fairy tales, or they don't have the same, and I don't think they understood, like, that it was kind of making fun of Disney a little bit, like, with the way the castle was, and, like, Shrek coming in with the, through the little gate thing and all that. So I think they didn't really get that, but they still thought it was, like, super funny. But like I said, they didn't have the same context as... But I was actually really surprised how they were really into... They loved Back to the Future. They loved all the horror movies and shit like that. And I like... The thing I like about those two guys is that they are... they're like just completely guileless. They're just completely like immersed. They become completely immersed in the story. You know what I mean? Like if it's sad, they're just like they'll cry. You know, it's like know what I mean. They cried at the end of Train to Busan, and I was like, I feel like I cried at the end of Train to Busan too.
Yeah,
but
Middle Easterners are kind of misunderstood in the West. I've been to Egypt, and all my uncles and aunts, and were basically grew up in Isfahan, Iran, before the revolution of the Ayatollah Khomeini. My grandfather worked for, at that time, Grumman Aerospace, and he was there training the Shah of Iran's men how to build an airplane how to maintain an airplane that he helped build. It was called the F-14 Tomcat. My granddad did all the fuel injection systems and all the programming that they did. It was just back in those days, man. It was like, I think it was pre-fucking chip. I think a lot of it was transistors and shit. But how to fuel inject that thing, and he took all his daughters with him, my aunts, and to this day, a lot of my aunts and uncles are still pretty heavily tied in to the Middle East. You know, UAE and fucking Dubai. Two of my uncles are bodyguards and chopper pilots for fucking real rich guys in fucking Dubai. They're late 50s, fucking jacked and shit. I used to hang out with them when I was at fucking Fort Campbell. They were from Task Force 160, Special Operations Aviation. They were the chopper pilots for fucking Delta Force, basically. They flew other people too, but they called them customers. But those guys are all flying for Middle Eastern sheikhs now. Fucking concealed full auto fucking PDWs and shit. And they make hundreds of thousands of years just living down there, being chopper pilot bodyguard. Well, when I went there, man, in Egypt, this is in the 90s when I first went there. I really didn't know what to expect. But what impressed me about Egyptians and just Middle Easterners and Muslims in general, when they're in their own environment, is how sweet they are. They're very sweet dispositioned people. They have all this, because of fucking all this Islamic terrorism, which I think was kind of blown into something that really wasn't. That did exist, but there wasn't that many of them, I don't think. They kind of come across as being these fucking real mean, big, fucking cruel dudes. They're small frame dudes, and they're very gentle in general. You can sit around and fucking drink carcade with them and fucking talk about, they love religion and mythicism and mythology. So you have to fucking deal with them on their own cultural level. You have to understand Islam.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of true of everyone.
With everything, yeah. And whenever you go to a foreign land, you want to adhere to their cultural norms. All right? Yeah. And they have a lot of misconceptions about Westerners, too. Especially Western women, they have a lot of misconceptions about that. Some of it's right, but blown out of proportion. But all in all, they're very much like dealing with, say, like a devout Mormon or a devout Christian. It's the same religion, basically. It's just Islam is like the second chapter of Christianity. It's got Jesus in it. It's got rebooted stories from the New Testament, Old Testament. So to kind of establish a common understanding, I would always fucking start talking about Islam and fucking their stories about, like Baba Dra, which is like Sodom and Gomorrah, We talk about the differences in them, and we talk about the cultural differences about religious law, and they love that shit, okay? Muslims love fucking religion, even if it's not their own. But as long as it's a what do you call it? God of Abraham. You start talking about Old Testament figures, Abrahamic religion. They love all that.
John Smith said, "My family is Albanian. We're known as the politest people in the world before they shoot you."
Yeah.
LOL. Also very polite because everyone has about 50 cousins who may take offense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see that.
Being Southern, I did well in the Middle East. because they're not a legalistic society. It's very much like the South. They're an honor-based society. If you make a friend there, he's really your friend. He'll break a law for you. There's all kinds of weird traditions, like, you know, if you're in trouble and you run into a man's house and he's your friend and he protects you, there's like a spell of protection. Nobody can come in there. Now, if you leave, they'll nab you. But there's just a lot of traditions, a lot of Islamic traditions that, you know, are very honorable. They're honorable. And they're not all the same. Each country has a different... You can't lump them all together. Big difference between, say, Saudi Arabia or modern Saudi Arabia and Afghanistan. It's a different ethnic group, different culture, everything.
Well, like I said, it's interesting because, particularly these, reacting to movies channels, because you subscribe to two of them, and the one that I like, that's the two guys from Pakistan. They seem more like... They're more modern. They'd seen other movies. They'd never seen Western movies before this person that made the channel
watching like Bollywood
is showing.
movies.
But they had seen Bollywood movies and stuff like that. So, and shit like that. However, there is another one, and I can't remember what it's called. And it's usually like three guys. And those guys, at least the old guy, because they have one, it's like two younger guys and one like really old man. And that old guy, when he saw, I guess it was Back to the Future, right? Yeah. It was Back to the Future. They loved Back to the Future, but he said that it's like, oh, you guys had phones and cars and shit like that, like in the 80s.
They didn't have that.
And they didn't have that, like, where they were from. Yeah, so they were from some little tiny, like, backwater somewhere.
Yeah, well, that's why it was called the developing world.
Right.
It used to be, growing up in Brazil, and Brazil was a developing country, but it wasn't that far behind the United States. It was behind the United States because it had enclosed borders, and they wouldn't let you import foreign technology because their oligarchs that ran the country didn't want foreign competition. That's really all it was. And I went to school with the children of those oligarchs at a private school called Escola Graduada de São Paulo, fucking one of the best schools in South America, high school. So, developing nations were developing back in the 80s. A lot of them were fucked up.
Yeah.
But that's not the situation anymore today.
No.
You have all these people spilling across the border, and you have people here in the United States that have no understanding of geography or foreign countries or foreign economy. They're like, well, they're here now. They're seeking asylum, kind of like they're running from hell or something. No, those countries are fucking paradises. Fucking great food. The economies may not be good. Venezuela has political problems right now. But really, fucking, me and Jenny could move to, say, Mexico. We could go to Brazil. I wouldn't go to Brazil right now. My friends that I grew up with in Brazil say, don't go right now. It's kind of like the way Colombia used to be back in the 80s. But you could go to Mexico, Colombia, fucking Argentina's getting back on track. I loved Chile when I was there. I liked Uruguay and Paraguay.
I mean, a lot of people go there on vacation.
Those places are fucking gorgeous.
Right.
Just you don't hear much about them. It's on the other side. It's in the southern equator.
Yeah.
And they're kind of in their own little world, but they're beautiful places, super friendly people, developed, great food, and long history. And me and Jenny could go to Brazil, Argentina, Paraguay, Uruguay, Chile, and fit in. You're like, well, you guys are white. Man, the place is filled with white people. Filled with fucking white people. Yeah, it's got Japanese people in it.
Yeah.
Brazil has one of the largest Japanese...
it's a lot more diverse than I think people have a perception.
It's just that there's a lot of people that don't fucking know what they're talking about. And, you're going to go to Brazil, you're going to see a lot of white people. You won't even see that many black people. Not like black people from Africa. You'll see a bunch of mixed people, but you won't see that many black people. Because all the black people married white people.
Yeah.
That's what happened there.
Thank you very much, Jeffy Arndt. Homesick, so I can't work at the club. Major upside. I get to hang out with you guys tonight. Aw, that's nice.
Yeah.
Victor says, Colombia looks cool. Chile has always been on my bucket list.
Chile's great.
They have the best earthquakes, and I've always had a thing for earthquakes. Yeah, Tom's been.
Yeah. I went to Santiago for like a week and a half. I fucking loved it. I was a teenager.
I would actually like to go to Chile.
Oh, it was great. Beautiful women. Just good-looking people.
Yeah.
Real good-looking people, yeah. They got Indians, and then they have more European-style people. and they're just good looking people. Although people kind of underestimate how good looking South Americans are. Colombia has some of the best looking people. They have their own look, but they have some of the best looking people in South America. And they don't look like Argentines. People from Argentina look more European. They look more European in Argentina than they do even in Brazil. But you just got to go to the regions to get a feel for them, and you make friends down there. And what always impressed me was great weather and beautiful natural resources, beautiful forests, plains, mountains, beautiful beaches, and fantastic food. Unimaginable food. The beef is fucking great. Pork, chicken, fruits that you've never seen before, like fruto de conge, which is, I don't know what that is. It looks like a damn green hand grenade. You open it up and it's a bunch of paste, white paste, and it's kind of like if you were to, it's got seeds in it, big seeds. It's kind of like you were to take banana and apple and puree it together into a
I've
paste.
heard of that, yeah.
Fucking really good, man. Mango, papaya, something called maracujá, which is, I think in English it's called passion fruit. And then stuff that you never see, like maçã de rosa, which means rose apple. It's a little bitty apple, and you bite it, and it tastes like an apple flavored with roses. It's not that big, really good. Little tiny bananas that are only like that big, that are orange in color, and they taste like apples. Yeah, all kinds of wild shit. All kinds of wild shit, man. And if you're a passport bro, they got dudes that are trying. I was the original passport bro. I was on a passport when I was a teenager because my parents took me. So I wasn't like, I was an unwilling passport bro. The girls were fucking off the chain, man. Because if you look good and you're a foreigner, you do well there. And you just make friends and just don't go down there to be snaking on the women. You go down there to just make friends with dudes.
Yeah, just like hang out.
Just like make
well,
friends.
I mean, I feel like that's true anywhere you go.
You make friends with dudes that are into the same shit that you're in. You make friends with dudes, and then all of a sudden you're making friends with women, and you're in your own social circle. And you don't want to go down there like the ugly American or even the ugly European, where you're acting like you're superior to them. No, their shit's wired tight. Okay, they know their area. They're very intelligent and educated people. So you don't want to go down there with a holier than thou mentality with them. Yeah, your money goes a little further because of exchange rates. That doesn't improve you as a person, though.
No.
You know.
Yeah, and I kind of feel like probably 99% of the problem that a lot of people have with Americans coming to their country is because of that. Like, because
American,
and that's a stereotype for a reason. Yeah. And I'm not saying that it's like a lot of Americans do go to other countries and are totally nice and they blend in and everything like that. But it's like there is a certain type of person that goes overseas and they're just like they want everything to be like and so I've noticed some British people are like this too.
I was going to say that.
They want everything to be like it was back home and they get really upset when it's not and it's just kind of like, you know.
The British didn't do well in Brazil. They went to a British school. It was called St. Mary's Academy. It was like I think it was just a Catholic private academy. Because you had British expats doing business in Brazil. Some of them had been there for decades. They've kind of lived on little compounds and only hung out with other British people. They didn't mingle with Brazilians at all. Kind of like they were dealing with a foreign alien race or something.
Yeah.
Crazy. And they wouldn't learn Portuguese. They would just, they didn't even bother to learn Portuguese. But they never, it was weird with the British in Brazil is that, the kids that the British kids that I hung out with who were expats, most of them never really experienced Brazil. Now, the guys that I hung out with did, but they would tell me about the other kids at their school.
Right.
You know what I mean? No, his name was Tom Riley, and his little brother's name was, I forgot what I think it might have been Rich. And, he'd run around with me and the other Brazilian guys in high school, and drink beer, and he'd chase Brazilian girls and shit, but he was normal. His parents weren't, though. They were, like, cloistered.
Yeah.
And all his friends would just fucking stay on their little compounds.
I noticed
little miniature Englands.
Yeah. When I was in the UK, and like you said, it was a generational thing because like people my age and younger were a lot more open. They'd go all over the world and like they would just blend in and they weren't weird about it. But the older ones, it's like, let's go to Greece for holidays, but they stay like on a British compound.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
That has like little trailers, like what we would call trailers. And, you know, has a little pub there and everybody speaks English and stuff like that. I'm like,
yeah,
why don't you just stay home?
The only group that was worse than that were the Japanese. Because in that school that I went to, that high school I went to, it had Japanese girls. Very few Japanese boys. I think we had 2. It's because the boys would stay in Japan to get a real education. The girls' education didn't matter so much. They could go to an international fucking IB, International Baccalaureate School. They were fucking crazy. But they were there working for, I think, Toyota. I think it was the company that they worked for. And the Japanese girls never learned Portuguese, learned a little bit of English. They could read and write English. They could understand it, but they wouldn't barely speak it. And they just stayed cloistered. Their whole families would just stay in their apartments and then go to work and then come. And they had drivers that would drive them to and from work because they weren't really trusted behind the wheel in Brazilian traffic.
Well, I wouldn't drive in Brazil either.
Yeah.
So.
And they wouldn't go out to restaurants or anything. They ate Japanese food at home and tried to assemble Japanese type food. They were scared to death to go out because they thought they'd get robbed. That's according to, like, I talked to the girls in Portuguese class. There was one sitting right next to me. I got the whole lowdown. That her dad was afraid to go anywhere, so they just stayed on. Yeah, and I was like, why is it? Well, because you get robbed. Like, why? Well, because look at us. It's because you're Japanese. I'm like, yeah. It says, no, Brazilians aren't going to do that because you're Japanese. They're not going to rob you. They're good people. Just they're scared of them, though.
Yeah.
Now, was Brazil dangerous? Yeah.
Yeah.
It was dangerous.
Yeah.
But you could avoid all trouble. I knew where to get in trouble and where to avoid it. It's the same thing. You know, you'd only get robbed in certain parts of town, and and only if you fucking were kind of showing weakness, calling for it, then that would happen. I never got robbed. Actually, I take that back. A guy tried to rob me, and I said, "Fucking put that fucking gun away, man. You want money? I'm a foreigner here." I was speaking Portuguese, and this is I know shit's rough. How much you want? I'll just give you some money. And I gave him about half of what I had, which was about $20, and he thanked me and walked off.
All he wanted was money.
He just wanted some money.
Right.
He pulled a gun on me and everything. I said, "Man, put that fucking thing away. You don't
Tom's
have to rob
all
me.
cool.
You want
All
money?
fucking cool.
I'll give you some money." He was only a few years old.
Gets a gun pulled on him.
Yeah, I don't give a fuck. Well, I grew up, it was in a narco-tyranny. Jenny said that I thrive in a narco-tyranny. Which,
You
yeah.
You love that kind of
I love it. In a narco-tyranny, the government was a tyranny. It made all kinds of... Its purpose was not to help the people, just to tax them and to fine them. The police just fined you and gave you tickets. That's all it did. They didn't help you if you were in trouble. They'd run the other way if there was a gunfight. So there were no real police, really. And the government was just there to grift and to cover its own ass over all the stealing that they were doing. It was just another animal in the jungle. It was just another faction. Then there were gangs and cartels and just regular people, and there were laws, but you didn't have to follow them. Nobody else followed them. And if you got in trouble, you could buy your way out of any trouble. Even murder, if you were rich.
Yeah,
from a powerful family. Yeah, no
well,
problem.
I think that's kind of true
Yeah,
everywhere.
you could buy your way out of that.
Not just Brazil.
And if it was kind of understandable. If it was a serial killing type, no.
Well, yeah.
But if you killed a guy in a fight on
Maybe
purpose,
right?
He was trying to kill you, so you killed him. Yeah, you could buy your way out of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that. Especially if he was poor.
Well, like I said, you could probably do that here too.
Yeah. Now, if he was rich, you'd have to buy that other family off.
Right.
So I come from a background of not respected laws because they were just made by fucking criminals, really. You went by a code of honor, your own personal ethics, your own how you treat other people. Everything's face to face, like a Native American, really. Like a Native American tribesman. The governments were kind of parasitic. They were just there to take. You kind of start seeing that now here in the U.S. It's just a parasitic entity. It's just here to take. It's not really here for you. It's going to export all your jobs away and then import more fucking cheap labor to just crush the labor market. Because they want a country of serfs with no rights. And who's doing it is corporations. The corporations that own the political parties. Everybody knows. Everybody's got half a brain. And this isn't new. It's been like this.
Yeah, it's been like this for a while.
It's just that now that the internet is exposing it.
John Smith said, as William Burroughs said, along the lines of, Americans go to the other side of the world only to speak to other Americans about not being able to buy a hamburger.
Yeah.
And the same is true of Brits. They're like, why can't we get any good chips in this fucking place?
But I gotta disagree. The Americans,
we're not all like that. Though. We're not all like that. But there are some like that. So
all the American families that I went to school with in Brazil, that they all lived in Brazil. They weren't like that. They were enjoying Brazil.
Yeah.
And they were learning Portuguese. And all the high school guys and girls that I grew up with in Brazil that were American all spoke Portuguese. You can learn it in about a year. When you're young, it's easy to learn. You would get private tutors and shit.
Well, that's what you had that, right?
Yeah,
and he still speaks it. You still speak it.
Yeah, I dream in it if I dream about Brazil. Yeah. And my vocabulary in my dreams is much better because my subconscious remembers so much stuff. I haven't really spoken it in a conversation in a long time.
It's funny because every now and then,
I understand it though when I hear it.
Like a year or two ago, like you used to correspond with a dude that was in Brazil, like about motorcycles. Yeah. And so every now and then I'd hear him like in the other room, like speaking like really rapid fire Portuguese to like this other guy. Like, and I was just like, shit, man, you can still like fucking.
Yeah. You can do it when you're not thinking about it.
Yeah. Yeah, but he's still like fairly fluent. I would say.
Like my first girlfriends were Brazilians.
Yeah.
So that was a big fucking motivation to speak Portuguese. You know what I mean?
I mean,
if Portuguese, you get a girlfriend.
If I was living in another country, I would absolutely either try to learn the language beforehand or learn it while I was there. Because why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna live in another country and like not be able to communicate with anybody. Yeah. That just seems like counterproductive.
Yeah.
Ben says, look up those supposed list of complaint letters to tour operators about how no one could speak English, the food was all foreign, etc.
Those are people that do not live abroad.
I mean, those
are just tourists.
There are definitely, but here's the thing. I always thought to myself, like, look, if you're going to spend all that money to go to another country, why on earth would you expect it to be? I mean, if you want shit that you can get back home, just stay home. It's much cheaper. I mean, the whole point of going to another country is to experience the other country, like experience another culture. Like if you just want the same shit you can get at home, then just stay at home.
Zach said I said something's the most badass thing he's heard all day. I don't know what it is, Zach.
The thing where the guy like pulled the gun on you and and you just gave him money.
Guns never impressed me. I grew up shooting them, you know, and then I made a living with them in the Army and as a contractor. Guns don't mean anything to me. This house is filled with them.
Well, and I think and particularly nowadays, I don't know about back then because I didn't know you then, but I do kind of feel like nowadays you do kind of have a thing where you don't really, I'm not saying you have a death wish, but you don't really care.
No, I'm indifferent.
He's indifferent as to whether he lives or dies, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I kind of developed what Musashi was talking about. It says that you have no right as a warrior to take the life of anyone until you yourself are willing to accept death when it's handed out to you without a single complaint. That's a great fucking thing. Yeah, that's it. He knows what he's talking about. That dude went through some shit and he killed over 100 people. All right. You have no right to kill anyone unless you can accept your own death when it's handed out to you without any complaint. It's kamikaze mentality, but that's just the way infantry and stuff were from the era that me and Bee's Nest, what they did to us in the infantry were just like that. But I was like that from South America too, because they're kind of like that. There's some fucking toxoplasmosis motherfuckers. Let me go to the restroom.
Jeffy Art said, when I traveled to China for work, I pleaded with my Chinese coworkers to eat where the locals ate. Some of the best experiences of my travels revolve around local cuisine. Amazing times. Yeah, see, it's like, I don't want to go to another country and eat at fucking McDonald's or KFC, man. I can do that here. But, you know, I want to eat what they eat. I want to hang out where they hang out. Like, I do want to see the tourist shit too. But I don't really want to spend a lot of time doing that. You know what I mean? Like, when I was in the UK, yeah, I went to the touristy shit. I went and saw the Tower of London, and I saw all of that kind of stuff, and I went to all the museums and everything. But because I was living there, I also kind of did just regular people shit. You know what I mean? So it was a lot more, I don't know, it was just like a lot better experience because we weren't just doing like touristy shit all the time. Yeah, Ben says, Ed Anger of the Weekly World News. Yeah. That like fake column they used to have in there. Wrote a column once about how holidays overseas were a scam and he preferred to take his wife to Disney World where he could visit dozens of other countries. Yeah, that's not actually Disney World, that's actually Epcot. Actually, I'm going to Epcot, I think on Wednesday, like the day after my birthday. Because my brother works for the Disney parks. He's one of the guys that, you know, when you go to the Disney parks and, you know, and you're like, hey, I want my kid's picture taken with, you know, Moana or Tigger or whoever. My brother takes the pictures of the family and then, you know what I mean? So he does that. And so he can get several people into the Disney parks for free. So he wants to go to Epcot on Wednesday. We're going to the Halloween Disney thing on Tuesday night. Me and my sister went last year and it was super fun. So we're going to do that again this year and both my brothers are going too. And then we're going to go to Epcot on Wednesday. But yeah, you can go. Well, the whole reason that people like Epcot is because of the World Showcase. Because, see, in Disney, I don't think in the Disney parks you can't get booze. Epcot, you can get booze. And you can go all around the world. You can go to Germany, you can go to all this and get all the good booze. So that's what people do. In Florida, that's what they call it, drinking around the world. You go to the World Showcase and drink at every single country. Like, get all the, like, booze. But yeah, that's a whole thing that people do here. Because people are like, well, some of the Disney parks don't have alcohol, but Epcot does. So everybody goes and drinks at all the different country bars. But it's, yeah, I haven't been to Epcot in a really long time. It's funny because I went to Epcot when they first opened it. I think I went in 1985. I want to say it opened in 1985. And I was in 5th grade, and our class went on a field trip. And it was super fun. But it's changed a lot since then. I've been once since then. But that was probably 15, 20 years ago. Maybe more. Actually, maybe more. Now that I'm thinking about it. Maybe 20 years ago. But I haven't been since then, so I don't know what they have there. So we'll see. We'll see. Because we're going to go. We'll probably just... Me and my brother will probably just get really drunk. That's probably what'll happen. But oh well. It's my birthday. I'm gonna have a good time. Yeah, Poe says, just stick to the teacup rides. That way the puke stays food. What? Okay, yeah, maybe. Yeah, Mickey Mouse mugshots. Yeah, that's what he does. He walks around the park and takes pictures of people, and then they sell the pictures. But he works at different parks. I mean, it's not always Disney. It's Animal Kingdom. It's Epcot. It's Hollywood Studios, which used to be MGM.
Whoa, you better stop it.
What is she doing?
I'm trying to tear up my boots.
Ben says, what does it stand for, Experimental City of Tomorrow? Yeah, I think it's something like that. Wasn't it? Experimental Prototype. I think it was Prototype City of Tomorrow. Or something. I can't remember.
It's what's funny is just how lame Disney is. You had the damn Land of Tomorrow, like Future World. They had all the Monsanto ride where they shrunk you down. I don't think they have that anymore. There was a Disney.
Well, yeah, they had that at Epcot here. Okay. I went on it once, but that was a long time ago.
And then they had these weird rocket rides, and then they had this fucking people mover that would fucking take you on like cable cars. And it's like they were going on about how futuristic the shit was, but you look at it and you go, man, this ain't futuristic. This is 1962.
But see, that's what I kind of like about it, because I kind of like that retro futurism.
Yeah.
That's why I like all those like old shorts that they show on MST and stuff, because they're like, look at all this futuristic shit. And it's like, obviously it's not, but I don't know. There's something about that aesthetic that I like.
Yeah, but they used to have a bunch of like displays there. They're long gone. I mean, they were gone even when I was a little kid. Where it would show like the home of tomorrow.
Yeah.
You walk through it and it's got ovens and dishwashers, and yeah,
Well, yeah.
it'd be retro by today's standards, but by those standards back then, that was kind of.
I think it's cool because
and no microwaves. They didn't have a microwave.
Yeah, I think it's cool because it's kind of like a time capsule, and it's like, and I like the idea of like this optimism. It's like, ooh, we're gonna have all this cool shit like in the future, and it's like even if it didn't quite work out like that, you know what I mean. And now it looks like a little. You know, it looks a little cheesy, but it's like I still kind of like that though. Like last time when me and my sister went to
it's like some out of Fallout.
Went to Disney last year. We did all that shit. We went on like everything. We went on what is it? What the fuck? It's a Small World. We did that. We went on the Carousel of Progress, like with where they show like the house. You know, from a long time ago, it's like here was the house during the Great Depression, and here was like we did all that. We just like, and it's I don't know, it's like super fun. I like that kind of shit.
Well, all that shit was real important in the '60s because World War II had just ended. It's so funny. Conservatives, all right, they had this weird concept about about American traditions and wanting to go back to the nuclear family and, you know, well, which I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but wanting to go back to what was shown in the 50s and the 60s, as if that was the default setting for the United States. It wasn't.
No.
That was actually totally artificial. Hollywood, the Army, and the intelligence agencies all just kind of fucking ganged up together to try to keep all these fucking ultra dangerous fucking World War II veterans in line. They had to fucking control them somehow. And the best way to control them is to give them jobs in auto factories and you know.
Gotta settle them down.
And to get them married and to get them into a new thing called a suburban home. Those didn't exist before. And it worked. And they did it with the aid of Hollywood. They made all the television shows like, you know, fucking Father's Knows Best, Leave It to Beaver, I Dream of Jeannie, Bewitched.
Yeah, that was like the ideal, like that you were supposed to aspire to.
It was all propaganda to do that, which is very smart. And they thought it was going to look like what they showed in Disneyland of Tomorrow or Future World or whatever it was. It didn't work out that way because the guys that were running that program got old and died. And things moved on, and they wanted to make profit, and the best way to make profit was to export all those fucking jobs over to China, which that didn't work out. That's not. And then try to turn this into a service economy, and that didn't work out either. Those jobs have to come back, okay? Because China's not on the same page with us. They're our enemy. They don't like us. So we're gonna have to make all that shit here, because once you have an enemy making all your stuff, they have you over a barrel basically, because they can withhold product, or they can sabotage product, like sell you computers and all the chips have something in there for back doors so they can go into them, spy on you and weird shit like that. Warfare is not like what it was. It's 5th generational now. It's run by psychologists and people that fuck with the mind. It goes all the way back to fucking MK Ultra. That's what MK Ultra was all about. Warfare has to do with the mind anyway. A person surrenders when they believe that they're defeated. If they don't believe that they're defeated, they'll just continue to fight. So controlling the mind is a fucking very powerful tool.
Camp Guy says, no matter what anybody says, Disney parks are incredible. I couldn't even tell you which one was my favorite. Between Magic Kingdom, Epcot, and the Animal Kingdom, MGM Grand Park, great too. Yeah, I haven't been to the park. It's called Hollywood Studios now, I think. I haven't been to it since it was MGM, but honestly, the Tower of Terror is worth it just for that. But they have a lot of other cool shit. My sister goes all the time because she has an annual pass. She lives in Atlanta, so she comes down a few times a year and goes to all that, and she loves all that shit. Yeah. So she's been to all of them. Like, she'll come down for a week, and then she just hops from park to park. But I haven't been to, like, I just went to Disney, like, Magic Kingdom last year, because me and her went for the Halloween event. And they've got, like, lots of new shit there, and we were checking that out. I want to, specifically go on the new Tron thing, because they were building it last year.
That's Disney?
Yeah. They were building it. It's by the Grand Prix Raceway.
Yeah.
Yeah, they built a Tron ride. Now my sister's been on it, but because she's been since then. But it's like they were still working on it when I was there last year, so I didn't get to go on it.
Look, Disney. I've been to Disney and the other park recently, and Disney's looking very dated compared to Universal. Universal, when last we went there, how long ago was that?
That was a long time ago. That was when we were still hanging out with Mini-Me.
Yeah.
Because Mini-Me went
That's about 8 years, probably. Still,
maybe more, yeah. Maybe 10.
Yeah, maybe 10. Still, fucking Epcot was fucking way ahead of, excuse me.
Universal.
Universal was way ahead of Disney. And I heard Disney's kind of gotten shabbier looking.
It wasn't bad when I was there last year. It was actually looked like it was pretty spick and span. But, you know.
Okay.
And like I said,
last time I went, that was more than 10 years ago.
Well, that was a long time ago.
They've
added a bunch.
Looked real.
They've added a bunch of new shit.
Okay.
They've added a bunch of new shit, and like I said, me and my sister had a fucking blast at the Halloween thing last year.
If Disney's gonna survive, it's got to fucking rebuild those parks. It's got to make them at least on par with what Universal has. Universal's fucking super high tech.
Yeah.
That fucking Harry Potter broomstick ride, it was like a virtual reality ride. You're sitting on those broomsticks. I bought into it, man. I felt like I was fucking riding on a broomstick.
He loved that Harry Potter ride.
Felt like I was on a fucking roller coaster. And I was just sitting on a fake thing and going through the damn tracks, and they're blowing wind on you and big fucking screens everywhere. But it felt like you were flying on a broomstick. It was a trip, man.
Well, the thing about, they built the entire... they built Hogwarts, and they built like the whole what is it called, Diagon Alley or whatever it's called. They built all that shit, and I was just like, well, I admire their commitment to the fucking theming. That was a cool ride.
Yeah, if you were offering me a choice today, which one to go to, I'd say fucking Universal.
Yeah, I mean, if you're more into like thrill rides and shit like that, Universal is what you want to do, because that has like a lot more roller coasters and shit like that. Like Disney's got a couple, that are pretty good, but. It's more that Disney is more geared toward like younger kids, which
Universal's more towards adults.
Yeah,
they got hot fucking superheroes walking around, fucking spandex and shit. That's where all the hotties are, and it's fun. It's a real fun park, and it's real high tech, and it just looks good. It's very the paint's fresh and big sculptures and shit.
It always freaks me out because, like I said, my brother works at the Disney parks, and he said you would not believe, because he knows where all the secret shit is, like where all the secret break rooms are for the employees and where all. He's like, when I first started working there, it's like, and they were giving us a tour of everything, and he's like, they showed me this one place, and he's like, this blew my fucking mind. He's like, it was this gigantic warehouse, and it had every single costume and uniform in like millions of different sizes, like, and he's like, and I'm not just talking about like the character costumes and shit like that, but he's like, I'm talking about the uniforms of like, the people on the safari ride or the people in every single park, and he's just like, it's just racks and racks and racks, and it's like 3 floors, and he's like, and it's fucking massive, it looks like an airplane hangar, and he's just like, and he's like, even the people that work in like the restaurants that have the uniforms, it's like they just have millions of different sizes, like, of every single thing, and he's just like, I couldn't fucking believe it. And he told me, he's like, they even have their own paint mixing warehouse, like, facility, and he's like, if you work there, you can actually get paint for super cheap, and they will match absolutely any, you just bring them a little chip of something, and they will match it. They can make any color in the universe, they can make it, and you get it for, like, super, super cheap if you're an employee there. And he's like, that is something that I never thought that I would... He's like, I never thought that would be a benefit, but he's like, that's pretty fucking cool. So he thought that was pretty cool. But he's like, they just have their own... Because they have to keep everything painted and all this other kind of shit, so they have their own paint mixing facility, like, in the park. So he's like, there's, like, a million things that you don't see back there. But it's like, it was just funny, like, him telling me all of that. But yeah, so he's gonna come with us on, because like I said, I was like, the Halloween thing, because they do a like I said, Disney is more kid oriented, so they do a Halloween event starting in September. It's usually like for 2 months, because obviously Universal does Halloween Horror Nights, and that's like super super scary because it's more like geared toward adults. I haven't been in a long time, but with the one I went to, it's like pretty scary. So the the Disney one is more geared toward kids. So it's like scary, but it's not that scary. Like, because they don't want to like scare the crap out of little kids or anything like that. But they do some cool shit. Like they did, and they're probably doing it again this year. But they did a thing where, you know, Space Mountain, like you ride Space Mountain, but they turn all the lights off, so it's like completely black and you can't see anything. They do that. They have like the Haunted Mansion. They have like all these live actors like inside the mansion, like fucking with you and stuff like that. Kind of like a house at Universal. They have like shit like that. And they do a big show where they put like all these projections like on the castle, and it's like they have all these fucking. They have the the Sanderson sisters from Hocus Pocus and Oogie Boogie, and they have all that kind of stuff, and it's like this big spectacular and fireworks and a big parade and shit. But yeah, it was like super fun last year, and they give you as much free candy as you want, which is probably not good. But they have these they have big barrels of like candy, and they give you a bag at the beginning of the night, and you just go around, and anytime you see a barrel, you can be like, hey, and they'll put like a whole bunch of candy in there, so you can have like unlimited candy. It's like pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome. But yeah, we had a really good time. So I'm really looking forward to it. Because we went last year, and like I said, I haven't been to Epcot for a really long time either, so that might be kind of fun. I don't even know what's there anymore. I don't remember the last time I went was with my parents. So that was probably, that had to be maybe even 30 years ago now that I'm thinking about it. Yikes. It was a long time ago. Oh yeah, Julie Newmar. Yeah, I remember her. Zach says, speaking of MGM, their casino in Vegas is being held hostage by a hacker group at the moment. None of their machines are working. I hadn't heard about that. Hadn't heard about that. That's pretty funny. Yeah, Jeffy Hart said the Not So Scary Halloween is the event it is. Yeah, that's what it's called. My nieces and nephews used to go there all the time. The sugar rush drove my sister and mom crazy. Yeah, because like I said, they will just give you as much candy as you want. It's like unlimited candy. Aside from all the other things that you can buy. Because every single restaurant and everything like that has like a bunch of special like Halloween desserts or Halloween foods or something like that, but then they also have all the free candy that you go around and get too, so there's also that. James Holmes says, my mom moved to Kissimmee recently. She's already complaining about the heat.
It's right up here.
Yeah.
Oh, it's hot here.
That's where Disney is. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. If you've never been to Florida, it's kind of hard to adequately convey.
It's hotter than Mississippi.
How hot it is.
Because it's 100% humidity, so it just fucks you up.
Like, I was born here.
It's cooling off now.
Yeah, it's not bad. Yeah. Like, in the morning and at night, it's still hot, but it's not that bad. But it's like, I was born here, and it's like, even now, like, I'll walk out the door and be like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
I still do that. And you'd think I'd be used to
James is saying
you never get used to it.
American traditions or European traditions. That's not the traditions I was talking about. We're talking about the cultural expectations of a middle-class lifestyle and what the middle-class lifestyle looked like. When I was a kid, what the American middle-class lifestyle was supposed to look and feel like is very well depicted in Steven Spielberg movies.
Yeah.
Like Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Poltergeist. You live in like a 2-story house. It's real modern. It's in a pre-planned community. You have a job with some kind of factory or some kind of a utility or something. You have a wife who's in, her early 30s. You got kids, 2 or 3 of them, boys and girls, and they're going to the local school here. They got skateboards and bicycles and shit, and there's kids on all the blocks. That tone that they were trying to show, that Spielberg fucking nailed it. He was really good. He'd be a really good propagandist. That may have been American propaganda. But it kind of came true. That's the way things were for a while. And it's still kind of like that for some people, but not as many as it was, because the middle class is just the rich people are just sucking all the money out of the fucking middle class. There's only going to be the top 1%, and everybody else is going to be fucking real poor eventually if we don't stop it. They got the money pump on. They're fucking sending all the money away from us to them. They're doing it by exporting fucking jobs and crushing labor markets and preventing the formation of unions, things like that. Things that Democrats used to be about, but they got bought off. They don't want anything about fucking unions now. That's why, if you think in these political parties, you think the Republicans and the Democrats are going to fucking save you, you're fucking tripping. All right, they work for Wayland Industries. Sad, but true. And the situation in Europe, it'll never be like it was in the 80s here in the United States. Not in the Spielberg version of the way life is supposed to be. That's the way I thought life was going to be. Didn't turn out that way for me. House looks the same. Everything else is different. I didn't know I'd be working on StreamMate. Jerking horny motherfuckers on with a camera.
I didn't think about it either, but you gotta do what you gotta do. I don't mind it. It's more fun than doing some other shit. I'd rather do that than work at a restaurant or something. Yeah. And not everybody's like that. Like, some people would rather do anything other than that, but it's not.
Yeah, they work for Spectre. Exactly. That's exactly. Yeah, they work for Spectre. Gangs of rich oligarchs who are fucking crazy, who want to get rid of us so they can inherit the world, live in the Garden of Eden. They're tripping though. They're like any other Nazi or commie or anything like that. They think that they can cause chaos and then just survive it. Once chaos happens, man, they lose control. They'll be the first.
Well, that's what they don't seem to understand. Is that like eventually
it's going to be their ass.
That's going to come back and bite you in the ass.
Yeah. They're going to create a tiger and they think they can ride
There's
it.
more of us than there are of them.
Yeah. And the thing is that we're in the modern world now. We know where they all live.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. They talk about a civil war. You could never defeat the United States Army. Man, I was fucking born and raised from an early age in military academies to be in that U.S. Army. The U.S. Army ain't shit anymore. Okay, they couldn't even handle the fucking Taliban. And that was just a few 75 IQ dudes in flip-flops with old AKs. You win wars by out-enduring people. All these expensive jets and tanks, that don't mean nothing. Because they can never bring those to bear on you. It's just constant resistance. Same way we beat the British. We never fucking won any major battles against the British. We just kept saying no to them.
We were just stubborn.
No. Just kept not doing it. Eventually, they fucking... People think...
They just got sick of us.
Yeah. They just gave up. They whipped our ass and left. They whipped our ass in the War of 1812, burned down the fucking White House and shit. Fucking Dolly Madison and fucking James Madison ran and everything, and then they left. They said, "Okay, that's it. Fuck you. We fucked your shit up. We're sick of you. We're leaving. We're not coming back."
Well, it wasn't worth it to them anymore.
It wasn't worth it to them anymore
because we were just too much of a.
So they kicked our ass until they just got sick of it and left. Endurance wins wars, not all this technology and shit. The Pentagon just came out with a report a few weeks ago saying that fucking culture trumps all strategy and technology. That's how they were explaining what happened in Afghanistan and Iraq. You don't need technology. You just need a real strong culture. And the Afghanis and the Iraqis, Islam proved that their culture is stronger than ours. It just has fucking unlimited endurance. You can just whip on them and blow up fucking wedding fucking parties and fucking do shit for fucking decades. And it doesn't change them. It makes them fucking hate you more.
Well, yeah, it just makes them more like, they're just gonna dig their heels at. Well, that's what
they were sending me and all my friends over to fucking kill them. They didn't do anything wrong.
That's what most people would do.
Yeah.
That's what most people would do. I don't understand why they think that they would react any different to how we would react.
Because push these buttons and pull these triggers are weak old men that have never been even in a fist fight. They're just they're projecting their own weakness onto other people. Because they live in a life of luxury, they have a lot of money, and, if somebody did this to me, I'd quit. Yeah, because you're weak. You haven't been toughened up by life,
Well, and the thing about it too
sex island with a bunch of underage girls.
Well, I mean, the thing about it too is that you're attacking their. I mean, that's their family, that's their life, that's their livelihood. They don't have anywhere else to go. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? What do you expect to happen? Yeah. They're gonna fight you to the last fucking breath. Yeah. Because like they don't have anything else to do. They don't have any other options.
Well, they take it personally.
Right. And, that's what I'm saying. Well, it is personal.
They take it personally. And fucking, of course. The dudes that make these decisions in the ruling class don't take it personally.
Well, of course they don't,
because it's never going to affect them.
Right. It doesn't affect them. That's what I mean.
We'll do this. We'll make
and they have other options. They're like, well, fuck that. I'll just go make $1 billion someplace else. So it's like nobody else can do that. Right. Like, you know what I mean? And they don't seem to understand that.
And they'll go, well, it's a dictator and it's a tyranny and they're fucking destroying democracy. We got to kill all those civilians. Make all this money. Get the fuck out of here. You know, America's got to learn something right now. Is they just got to fucking live at peace with other nations and fucking become equal with them. And the American ruling class doesn't want that because their whole banking system, their whole imperial system will fall apart. That's what England was doing. Okay, back in the 1700s. Yeah, this whole idea that America's going to have to live as an equal with China and Russia and India, our rich people don't like that at all. Not at all. But they're just going to have to learn that they're not backward savages. Maybe they were at one time, but not in today's age. They have the same technology or better. And those motherfuckers are smart. Yeah, India isn't quite as developed as the United States. Russia's doing real good. China's doing good. All right, those people are smart.
We're talking about the hot weather. Mm-hmm. Camp Guy says, buy the biggest dehumidifier you can get. It acts almost as good as an air conditioner. Almost.
Well, we have air conditioning in here. We don't need it.
Yeah. Our air conditioning is... We actually have two outside air conditioning units because our house is 2 stories, so it has one for each. Yeah. One for each floor. And it works pretty good.
James says China's weak anyway. No, you're wrong. And Russia's not weak either. America is much weaker. America's much weaker than them. We have fucking horrible fucking recruiting numbers, terrible fucking troop quality, obsolete aircraft, obsolete tanks, obsolete fucking submarine missiles. The Tomahawk missile, man, is fucking 30 years old, 40 years old. Even our nuclear arsenal is out of date. The entire structure of the U.S. military is just fucking from another era. Most of it's grift, extremely inefficient. And then it depends upon private contractors to make all this weaponry. And the weaponry isn't made for fucking cost effectiveness, it's just made for fucking profits. So they're always going to sell you some technophiliac fucking super expensive weapon that doesn't actually work in rough conditions. You end up with bullshit like the M1 Abrams tank, which is a fucking duck. I mean, that was good back in the day. But it's got a jet turbine on it, man. It's the fucking stupidest fucking engine that you could put in there. It'd be so much better with a diesel engine. I mean, that thing can't even sit. The IR signature on that thing is fucking terrible. Huge. Then we fucking sank all this money in useless stealth technology. Stealth technology might be good against a third world country, but it's not going to be good against fucking Russia. Russia doesn't use fucking radar to identify aircraft. It uses shit like IR and all kinds of. They have all kinds of other ways, and it's not the era of the jet anyway. It's the era of the hypersonic missile, which cuts the jet out of the equation. You just launch the fucking missile, and it hits 6,000 miles away, any target you select, and it went Mach 8 the whole way. There's no way to fucking intercept it. So there's no need for jets anymore. This is all expensive trinkets. They're good against developing nations, and like Iraq, but Iraq was like beating up on a child. Okay, it was a third-rate military, and I was in during that war. It was easy to destroy. I mean, fucking, they were a third-rate military, like something out of the fucking 60s. Russia's fucking cutting edge now. Now they're lying on the news, all they're backwards. Nah, that's all lies. That Zircon missile's the shit. So's that fucking Kinjal. And they got great fucking troop quality. Their infantry and their tankers are fucking superb. I'm seeing daily battle data. I fucking watch the real news of what's happening. They fucking destroyed the Ukrainian army 3 times over. And that was the strongest army in Western Europe. It was stronger than Germany by about 5 times. About 15 times stronger than England. You could fucking... You could fit the entire fucking armed forces of England in the fucking Houston Astrodome. That's not many dudes. Russia was destroying that every 2 months. Their numbers were fucking great. And it was just a World War I style artillery war with a bunch of drones. Those drones just fucking changed the game. I saw the fucking footage. Drone coming, flying down and fucking hitting a dude and blowing up. Just a little bit, and it's like a drone you look like you'd buy it in a store or something. Wasn't anything fantastic. They're just using them right. Drone with a grenade strapped onto it.
Thank you very much, Titanic Discussions.
What do you say?
Your review for 1979's Prophecy alone is worth this. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
have a great night. By the way, your thoughts on 1978's Dawn of the Dead. Did we never review that?
I love Dawn of the Dead.
I love Dawn of the Dead. That's probably... Ooh, I don't know.
Terrible acting, but it was just a cool story.
I don't know if I'd go that far.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd go that far. But I don't know. That might be my favorite. I don't know, because I kind of feel like Night of the Living Dead is probably my favorite out of all of those, but... Because there's just something about the original. But Dawn of the Dead is definitely up there. And it could be going from day to day. But yeah, fucking Prophecy. Yeah, we just reviewed that not too long ago, didn't we? That's the mutated bear one.
Yeah.
I love all those 1970s eco-horror movies, man.
Victor, you're falling to American propaganda. If we went to war with Russia, we'd lose. They have military supremacy. This is not 1995. They're more advanced than we are and tougher. They can take a lot of casualties and just shrug it off. No, not the United States. You kill 20,000 in a week or a month, fucking the United States will fucking turn tail and run. And they're just the troop quality is just shit. You know, if you see who's fucking joining, they're just fucking crud. You know, nothing like it was in the 90s. But no, Russia won that war. You'll find out in maybe about a month or so. But there's no fighting going on. Not really. What's left of the Ukraine army is just contained in a little pocket. They've been encauldronated, is what it's called. Washington D.C. is just lying. They're saying that we're still going. There's no offensive. The Ukraine army will mutiny and kill its own leaders if you ask them to attack now. They're too weak. Go restaurant.
High Desert said, I like the idea of taking refuge in a shopping mall. I think everybody did at the time, because back in the 80s, or, 70s and 80s, that would have been the best place to hole up, because it has everything. Food, weapons, shoes, clothes, all kind of shit. You know what I mean? But yeah. They got weapons in the mall stores. Yeah, I mean, that was an actual mall, right? That was the, Monroeville Mall, right? Where they shot that. They just shot it at night. I don't think I've ever been to and I've been to a lot of malls in my day, but I don't think I've ever been to a mall that had a gun store in it. Or like a weapon store. Now, I've been to malls that had sporting goods stores, so maybe, yeah, okay, I guess so. Man, shit, I remember like the mall where I grew up had a, tobacco shop in it. I remember that because my grandpa used to go there. I just remember that. What was it called? The Tinderbox. That's right. That was where he always wanted to go. It was like it always smelled so good in there. Like it smelled like tobacco, and they had like all cigars and had a humidor in there and all that kind of shit. It was like pretty cool. It was like pretty small, but yeah. Tammy said now we would go to a Sam's Club or a Costco's. Yeah. Holy shit. Yeah, the Sam's Club, they got they got everything in there. They got everything in there. But yeah, you'd have to like fucking defend it, because everybody would be wanting to get in there. If we had to take refuge in a Westfield mall, we'd be screwed. Yeah, like nowadays it's not the same, because like half the fucking mall stores would be empty. The mall that we go to around here, this might be the closest mall to us. It's Lake Square Mall. That's where we go to, like, that's where the movies are, and that's where the Chinese buffet we go to is. And that's where the bookstore is, where you get coffee and stuff. That's about, how far is that mall from us? 18 miles?
Yeah.
Something like that. It's not... That's actually not a dead mall. It's not crowded, but it's got, like, decent traffic. And most of the stores are open. So, like, there's a movie theater in there. There's a couple anchors. There's a Belk. There's a Books A Million. There's a PetSmart. There's... And then there's, like, a bunch of smaller shops, but it doesn't seem like there's a lot of empty stuff in there. And it was the same thing with our old one that we used to go to, like, in Altamont Springs. That mall was always, like, really busy. So I think this one... Oh, and you know, I don't know if I mentioned this on the show or not, but right across from the Books A Million that we always go to, they opened a Spirit Halloween. So I have to, like, keep not going in there because otherwise I'll buy everything. But I went in there the other day and, like, looked around and I bought some, like, cool Halloween, like, fingernails and stuff. But
I got to respond to James. Yeah, James, you're half right. The Russians are using up their old stock. What that story comes from is I guess it was almost a year ago. Russia had a whole bunch of old stuff, old vehicles, old tanks. They were like T-72s. I think some of them were even T-64s. Just kind of sitting around in mothball. They gave those out. They just handed them out to the infantry. They said, here's all the vehicles you want. Just take them and go into Ukraine and blow shit up. And Russian infantry were jumping into T-72s with just a couple days of training and using the tank as what we call in the military an assault gun. You don't shoot other tanks with it. You just run up on a village and use the tank gun to blow up buildings and pillboxes and shit like that. Because it was free. They had a bunch of it.
I'm going to go get another drink.
Well, the Western media jumped on that and was just like, oh man, they're using all this old out-of-date shit. That wasn't Russian tank units using that. They have a more advanced tank. They were just giving away all the old shit to infantry troops as bonus weapons. And I'm ex-infantry. If somebody came up to me and I was in theater like Afghanistan, and I'm a M60 gunner, belt-fed machine gun. And he says, Ross, instead of that machine gun, that M60, would you like a tank? You and Chafino and fucking Sparks, we'll give you guys a tank. Yeah, give us the fucking tank because you're bulletproof. You're not missile proof, but you're bulletproof. And you don't have to walk. You can now ride in that tank. And then your buddies can jump up on top of the tank and you can give them a ride to go down and fucking fuck up Ukrainian buildings and shit. And that's what they were doing. But yeah, they had old vehicles with rotten ass tires. They said, well, instead of walking down here, just take all these old vehicles, drive them down there. So they did a lot of that. But I think U.S. military intelligence, they knew what the Russians had done. But they lied on the Russians as propaganda, saying, oh, they're using this old, out-of-date equipment. No. They gave that old, out-of-date equipment to their own troops to use as just bonus shit. Bonus vehicles. That's all it was. That's not... What they're doing down there is not mobile warfare anyway, though. It's like World War I. Because everything's a stalemate. Nothing can fly. Any jet that goes into the air is fucking shot down by the Russians. Hypersonic missiles. Stealth doesn't work because they'll use IR detection. They have new ways of detecting aircraft. What would you need a jet for? To drop a bomb? Why drop a bomb when you can shoot a fucking hypersonic missile? It'll go even further than the jet. A lot faster. No way to stop it. And there's no crew. Surface fleets are a thing of the past. You now have all these fucking submarine drones that just blow up when they hit a ship. Surface drones. Aircraft carriers are a thing of the past. Like I said, though, those are good against third world countries. And that's what America's been doing. I mean, fucking, this is what I did for a living. That's what we've been fucking doing for the past 70 years. Is beating up on little third world countries. That's easy to do. It's like beating up a child. And still we were losing. Because they out-endure you. If Vietnam didn't surrender, they just kept on going on. You know? Same thing with Iraq. They didn't change. There's no democracy in Iraq. I remember when they sent us to that shit, we were going to bring democracy to Iraq. Yeah, whatever. They were just grifting, making money. That's all it was. They'll tell an American citizen anything, and they'll believe it. Right or left. And the right-wingers will be like, yeah, stars and stripes, America, fucking Chevrolet apple pie. Send my son down there. He's just making money. Didn't do any good. You change Afghanistan for the better, or
Well,
Iraq
I think
for the better, or Vietnam. Vietnam got better because they got rid of us. As soon as we were gone, Vietnam got better. America's really not been a force of good in the world. It's been a force of evil in general. I would say with the exception of fucking World War II. And we didn't have much to do with that in Europe. That was mostly us beating up on the Japanese.
Well,
And I'm not quite sure they deserved it. I don't know if our version of history was about what the Japanese were doing in China. I'm not sure that's 100% legit. That's the U.S. historians talking about the rape of Nanjing and all that. We put an oil embargo on us, and they fucking retaliated by fucking... We put an oil embargo on them, and they retaliated by attacking the fleet at fucking Pearl Harbor. Well, could we put an oil embargo on them? Without oil, they'd fucking starve to death. They were an industrial country and an island. And it's always these sanctions. We got to put these sanctions on these people. Okay, because they did something and said something we didn't like. Like we're like this fucking bully. I'd have left Japan alone. It wouldn't have been a problem.
Well, you know, we do like to throw our dick out because we think we're better than everybody.
Yeah, we're better than everybody else. We're better than all these brown and yellow people.
Yeah, I mean, it's not as much like that, but I do kind of feel, particularly when I was younger, like at school, I do think that there was that veneer.
They haven't changed. They're just rewording it. Now it's about defending democracy, which there's not a democracy here. Doesn't matter who you vote for. Both parties are fucking...
The cats are running around because I keep hearing them back there. They have a new game, the two cats do. Little Bambi, or Dakota. Mm-hmm. She was Dakota when she came from the shelter, but we call her Bambi because for various reasons. She likes to like hide behind the door.
Yeah.
And then like peek out, and then when Pookie comes, she's like, bah! And she like jumps on her. But so I don't know. I guess they're friends. I can't really tell. They don't hurt each other.
No,
they kind of like, but they're not really beating up. So you know what I mean. I wanted them to be friends and hang out, so I'm hoping that that's happening. Yeah. They just like run around like little buffalo herds like all the time. It's like pretty funny. It's pretty funny. But as I can hear them like in the background, hiding behind the door and jumping out at each other and whatnot. Super funny.
That is correct, Poe. It's about endurance. Warfare is always about endurance. Technology always fails you. It's just whoever fucking cries uncle first. And just look in history. And America cries uncle first.
Well, I mean, it's just, it's kind of the same thing. It's like if you're in a fist fight with somebody, it's like it's not so much the stronger person, it's the person that can get their ass whipped and keep getting back up.
You'll wear the other guy out over time.
Yeah, the other guy will just wear out. Yeah. He'll just get sick of like wailing on you.
And he starts getting tired, and then when he's tired, he's weaker, and then you start beating up on him, and he's like, oh, fuck it.
So there's something to be said for, you know, having a talent for like getting your ass beat and then just getting back up again. You'll outlast everybody that way. Because even the strongest person has to get tired sometimes.
Yeah, and the American military doesn't really understand that. Because they don't want to understand that because that would cost them a lot of money. See, after World War II, Operation Paperclip, we got a lot of the ex-German guys over here. Scientists, military thinkers, strategists. So we started to emulate the German combined arms warfare, which is what was back in the day was called blitzkrieg tactics. Okay, we use infantry, armored, and air power all at once, and lightning strikes, lots of maneuver, moving, using telecommunications, capturing one key point, moving on to the next, this and that. That didn't work. All right, the Germans lost their war, and so what we did is we fucking adapted the thinking and the strategies and the military equipment. We adapted the thinking of the losers of World War II, not the winners. The winners was the Soviet Union, and the Soviet Union was about endurance and production and numbers. Yeah, they had these badass tanks, but they were cheap, and when they got destroyed, they were instantly replaced with 2 tanks. And when you destroyed those 2 tanks, they were replaced with 4 tanks. So it was a war of production and mass, just overwhelming them. Over time, too, where you could just hold an enemy off for a year, and then in the rear, you're building up huge surpluses of fucking weaponry, and then the beginning of year 2, you just swamp them with all this fucking material that you made. That's what the Russians do, and that's what they just did. They're the fucking masters of it. World-class fucking land warfare specialists. Because they don't have a military-industrial complex. All the weapons factories are government-owned, run by basically military guys. And they just sit there on idle, not making much. As soon as the war happens, they start massive production. A year later, you're swamped by a shit ton of material. And it was all cheap. 1/6 what we would pay for it. And side by side, quality better, actually. More reliable, simpler, faster to make. Not as high tech, but you don't want technology in warfare. You want numbers and speed of production. You know, you can have the best fucking tank in the world, but if it takes fucking 6 months to make it, it's too low. It's too slow. You want to take that you can make it 6 days, not 6 months.
Well, it's just kind of like I say about even fucking consumer goods and stuff like that. I'm always a big fan of just like buying shit that doesn't have a bunch of bells and whistles on it, because to me that's like more shit to break. More shit to break, and I just want shit that's simple.
And that's not what it does. A tank is supposed to run in the snow, adverse conditions, and be fuel economy. Have a good fuel efficiency. It has some steel armor, so machine guns don't shoot through it. There's no way you're going to stop those tank rounds. Don't worry about it. If it gets hit by a tank round, it's going to be destroyed. And right now, you hit a fucking M1 Abrams with an anti-tank round, it's destroyed. It doesn't matter that it's fucking 7 times the price of a 272. It's still destroyed. They're both destroyed.
Right.
Doesn't matter. Yeah, it's got a jet engine on it. Fuck, it goes 65 miles an hour. Yeah, but it guzzles fuel. It drinks fuel like crazy. And it can't just sit there at idle for days without burning much fuel like a fucking diesel engine can do, you know? It's just... Our weapons were made for profit. So the military-industrial profit would make a lot of cash so they could buy swimming pools and have side chicks. So they could get a side chick. They just make a fuck ton of commission on it. Lots of serviceability. A lot of shit you got to buy to keep it running. Because they make money on that. That's good for them. It's not good for the guy in the field. It's not good for winning wars. Unless you're fighting little third world countries. You know, it's like beating up on a baby. But when you fight a real country like Russia or China, it's about numbers. I heard somebody saying China's fucking weak. China would fuck us up in a land warfare. There's so many of them. And just because, they're Oriental, they don't know how to fight? I say, yeah, maybe they don't know how to swim, because a lot of them never learn to swim when they're kids. But you don't need to learn how to swim to fucking drive an APC and fucking operate a machine gun. The Chinese fought like fucking devils in fucking Vietnam and in Korea against us. They were fucking human wave attacks and shit. The Chinese are good fighters. You just swarm you like a Zerg attack in a fucking Starcraft. They just send millions of them at you.
High Desert says, get a TV now. It's no longer just plug it in and turn it on. You have to spend an hour programming.
That's
which...
stupid. Yeah. They make money
and maybe this is like the old person. And look, I'm not saying it's like, look, I like all that shit. I like all the new shit that we have now. And if I want to know how to do it, I will figure it out. But 90% of the stuff, like the features that a lot of stuff comes with now, I will never use. And I think most people will never use, even if they're not old like me. Like, I can figure out how to use a TV. I can figure out, because I'm good at, like, computer shit. I always have been. So it's like, you know, I'll figure it out. But like I said, most of the shit that it comes with, I don't need it. You know? Holy shit, man. It's like now they have those refrigerators that are like, oh, we take a picture of everything in your refrigerator and we send you an alert that you're out of shit. And I was like, I don't need that. I can open it. It takes a second. I can open it and be like, oh, I'm almost out of milk. I better go to the store and get some. I don't need the computer to tell me that.
Poe, you are 100% correct, man. You get my point. Poe said, complexity does not endure. It does not endure. No. And it does not endure in extreme conditions. And warfare is an extreme condition. Extreme climactic conditions, lots of stress on the men. Nothing's been cleaned. Nobody's been bathed in a while. Fucking, the temperatures are exceedingly low during the winter. So yeah, you want equipment that can be neglected and abused and continue to run. And some of our shit was like that when I was in, but a lot of it wasn't. It was very maintenance heavy, which required a lot of fucking support from maintenance units. So things like tanks and shit had to be offline, being worked on for a lot of period of time. Then they go out and kick ass, but then you have to pull it back again and work on it. There's just kind of the same problem with German Panzers, you know, like the Panzer fucking 6 and the Panzer 7 and King Tiger and all that shit. They looked great on paper, and when they were running, they were fucking badasses, but Germany didn't have the fucking support network to keep those things running in the field. The fucking transmissions would weighted down and underpowered transmissions, and they were just trying to get the biggest, baddest thing out there as quickly as they could. Interleaved road wheels for a real smooth ride, try to give a super high quality. It didn't matter fighting the Russians. Okay? Russian winter fuck it up, and then just not being able to maintain it would fuck it up. The road wheels didn't even have bearings on them. It was just plain bearings. They were pumping grease to it because ball bearing factories got blown up. Just,
like I said, the more complicated
it is, the more bullshit it is. The best tank of the war was the fucking T-34. It was a Russian tank, and it was just like a caveman tank. And you could make a lot of them, and they were good. They were very survivable. You could make them rapidly. They were cheap. They were good in the hands of a right crew. They were real good. They were fucking... The Panzer V Panther was a response to the fucking T-34. They tried to make it more like a T-34, but with better quality road wheels and this and that, which complicated it again. They should have just made a copy of the T-34, you know, which is half the price. You could make it in half the time, you know, and it was just as good. So it's called de-engineering. A real engineer minimizes the amount of moving parts, doesn't maximize them. You want to get the job done with the fewest amount of parts possible.
I mean, that seems like it would just be common sense.
Yeah. But when you
can't overthink shit like that.
Right. But when profit is
sure.
Then all that shit comes in.
Yeah.
And Americans are technophiles. They love fucking high technology shit. In warfare, ground combat stuff, you don't want it to be high tech. You want it to be low tech, but reliable and powerful.
Yeah.
Effective, cost effective, and cheap. Now, Russians have these hypersonic missiles. They are super high tech. So in some things are high tech. We can't make those. Those are 10 years away from us. Because we make shit based on computer programs and shit. The Zircon and the fucking Kinjal missile were made with on slide rules and people thinking about shit in their head. The Russians are fucking smart. Okay, they didn't use a computer program to come up with because that hypersonic air coming into a combustion chamber, we don't know how to do it. But somebody over there figured out how to do it. It's some kind of a mathematical algorithm that they know. Which is the same thing in jets, jet turbines. There's a bunch of math you have to know in order to successfully produce a working jet turbine. If you don't know those theorems, you'll never get it done. They figured out some kind of mathematical theory in there to get hypersonics done. We've been trying for fucking decades and couldn't get it done.
Yeah.
They know something we don't.
Poe says complexity is highly profitable, however.
Yes,
Combine that with planned obsolescence.
Yeah.
And the bankers win, not you.
Yeah.
Yeah, like boots on the ground, you do need shit that is simple. That generally works better. Like I said, less shit to break. It's true in warfare, it's true in consumer goods, it's true in everything.
Like everybody loves night vision. But when I was in the service, we hated night vision goggles for infantry use. You needed batteries. And it didn't matter. Once fucking bullets were flying and tracers were flying, you could see anyway because all that shit was lighting up the whole
right.
Fucking, didn't matter. They were good for certain things, looking across fields and stuff, but you wanted your own natural night vision to be pretty good. And night vision and IR lasers, that's good for certain specific problems, but that wasn't general purpose. You can't depend on batteries, you know. In a real war,
you don't really know like
you don't know when you're gonna get resupply.
Right. So it just seems like just try to keep things as simple as possible.
Yeah, they worked for us in these past wars because we were beating up on babies, so the supplies were coming.
Right.
But if you went to war with a real country, supplies would stop coming because those planes would be
and then you'd be
shot
hosed.
down.
Then
you'd be fucking hosed. Yeah, it goes back to caveman technology.
Well, see, that's what I always said. That's why, in the case of a zombie apocalypse, I'm
shit.
getting a bicycle and a samurai sword. That's all I need.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna bike from place to place and cut people's heads off.
Swords don't need ammo, and they don't need ammo, and they don't need.
They don't need anything.
They don't need anything.
They don't need anything. It's perfect.
Yeah.
And the bicycle, the thing about it, a bicycle could break down or your tire could go flat or something like that. But there's tons of bicycles laying around. You could just find another one. You know what I mean? It's not that big.
You can patch a tire.
Yeah, that too.
Pumps.
It's not. You don't need gasoline. You don't need anything. It would go back to like fucking simple.
Yeah, the bicycle's a good survival tool. People forget that bicycles, when they came out, when they first came out, they were the highest technology item mankind could produce.
It was a big deal when those fucking things came out.
They were replacing horses with bicycles, especially multi-speed bicycles. That was mind-blowing shit to those people. Based on that technology, the Wright brothers made an aircraft.
Yep.
Using bicycle technology, because they owned a bicycle shop.
Yep.
Bicycles and then motorcycles, which is just a motorized bicycle.
Right.
You take those motorcycle and bicycle technology and put it together. If you know basic aerodynamics, which the Wright brothers really kind of didn't know basic aerodynamics.
They were like it was.
They did some wind tunnel testing about prop pitch, what the best pitch for prop was, but they didn't figure out fucking things like control surfaces like ailerons and flaps and shit. They used wing warping. They would warp the entire wing to get a turn. That's fucking dangerous. It doesn't work well. The Wright flyer was fucking hard to fly. Dangerous.
They kind of went about it in a trial and error fashion.
Yeah.
Which isn't the best way to go about something that can kill you like that. But,
Yeah, but then a few decades later, there were fucking Fokker monoplanes and shit, which looked really fucking modern. They weren't even biplanes; they were just fucking single wing monoplanes.
I still, you know what? I see. You remember that show that used to be on? I guess it was on the History Channel. That was like about like dogfights, like airplane dogfights. I especially admire the brass cojones of the dudes that got in those fucking World War I planes, man, and got up there in the air and were like shooting at the. I'm like, holy fucking shit! You would not get me to.
It was a glorified kite.
That's what I mean.
That's all it was.
And it's just like that's crazy to me that like dudes were crazy enough to like
and the engines,
get up in that shit and just like that's insane.
Those engines that they had in the fucking nose wouldn't even make a decent motorcycle engine. They didn't even.
I know that's what blows my mind about that shit.
They didn't even put out 100 horse.
That people are like, hey, get in that shit and like go up there and like shoot at them, and he's like, okay. Yeah. I don't even like to fly in a regular ass airplane. Yeah. Much less fly around like a little fucking thing that's made of like spit and wood and paper.
Yeah.
It
was plywood, which most of it was plywood.
Right, but still.
Plywood was real fucking high tech in the day.
I know it was.
A lot of it was plywood with canvas and then something called dope painted over it, was like shellac. Yeah. Would harden it. And but there wasn't much to those. They're just wire control surfaces and stuff. You literally could build that in your backyard, and then put a motorcycle engine in it.
Yeah. Same shit.
And it would fucking outrun it. It'd outperform it.
Yeah. But it's just like I said, I really admire the fucking chutzpah of like people that would get in those and like fly them around in the sky and shit, because I absolutely would not do that.
You could pull that 1200cc V-twin Harley Davidson Buell motor that I have out of that motorcycle and put that in the nose of a fucking World War I Sopwith Camel or something, and it would outperform the Camel because it was lighter and putting out probably about the same horsepower, but it's hundreds of pounds lighter, that motor. Yeah. Those motors were heavy and they didn't put much power out. And then the radials fucking didn't have engine seals. The whole fucking...
The fact that they actually flew kind of blows my mind, too.
Those multi-cylinder radial motors fucking spun right along with the prop, the whole engine turning. And you really couldn't get a good seal on the engine. So they filled it full of castor oil, and castor oil would blow out of the fucking engine and all over you. It'd be all over your face and shit. Yep. So you'd be tasting castor oil all fucking day.
Yeah. This is not a pleasant experience. Zach says, one wonders how anyone managed to ride these penny farthings with the giant front wheels. I always wondered about those. Who on earth, like, why would that occur to you to make the front wheel way bigger than the back wheel?
They didn't have any fucking differential gears. So it made it easier to fucking pedal, and you could go faster if the front wheel was bigger.
Yeah.
You could go faster. Probably not easier to pedal. Harder to pedal, but it would go faster.
It almost kind of looked, at least from the drawings, it kind of looked like you needed a fucking step ladder to get on.
I think you had to get on sideways, and you had to fucking
throw yourself like my short ass isn't getting on there. That's for sure.
Those weren't around for very long though.
They weren't. No, like everybody figured out. Oh well, let's do the same.
Eventually, you came up with things that kind of looked like 10 speeds. The first Harley Davidson looked like a 10-speed kind of.
Yeah.
Gas tank on it, a little twin 2-cylinder engine in it.
Gen X Jason said, it's amazing how quickly technology has evolved in such a short span of time. Yeah, it's... When I kind of stop and think about it, sometimes I'm like, holy shit, man, you could go back 50 years. Just 50 years. 50 years, 100 years, whatever, and bring somebody back here in a time... They wouldn't know what the fuck was going on. Look how different it is. And it's like we kind of take it for granted because, like I said, we were here for the whole thing. So we were just kind of like, oh, here's this new thing. But if you brought somebody from, even like from the 1950s, which I guess is 70 years ago now that I'm thinking about it. But if you brought somebody even from the 1950s into the modern era, they wouldn't know what the fuck was going on. You could show them the shit and they'd be like, holy crap, it's like fucking sci-fi.
Internet and cell phones would fuck them up.
That's what I'm saying. They would just think it was science fiction. That you could just take a shit out of your pocket and it's like, hey, what do you want to know? Well, I got maps, I got this and that and everything.
I think it's science fiction. One day I had a pager. Had a telephone.
I remember those.
And then cell phones started to come. They were fucking expensive. And then eventually fucking the modern cell phone came. So I went from a pager to a cell phone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I remember you having that little flip phone.
Yeah, it's a flip phone, yeah.
Because I've known you for a long time. Like, I think I met you in 2009 or 2010.
Flip phone.
Yeah, you had a Motorola flip phone back then.
Yeah.
Because I remember you, like, texting me on that.
Yeah. It also had, like, a backup radio.
I didn't know that it had
you could use that as a walkie-talkie. You could use that as a walkie-talkie.
Well, that's handy.
And all kinds of shit that you would never need. But it was expensive in the day.
Yeah, they were hugely expensive.
Yeah, and it was... What was good about it is working on the farm is that you could drop it in water. It was totally waterproof. Nothing would happen to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was totally waterproof.
That's crazy.
So it was indestructible. And I dropped it all the time because it should go flying, fucking bouncing around. It made it. It had a little color LCD screen.
Yeah, I remember that phone.
You could see what was happening. It wasn't HD, but it didn't matter. For the day, it was pretty cool.
No,
it was a big step up from a pager.
Yeah.
You could get fucking. You could do texts. You could get email.
Yeah.
You could surf the web a little bit.
Yeah.
It had like its own lane.
Yeah. But yeah, that was I think that people forget, if you didn't grow up in the 1980s, I think you forget how expensive just fucking VCRs were.
Yeah.
In the early they were thousands of dollars. Like in the early 1980s, because I remember we got one. Well, we had a Betamax first. And then we got like a VCR, like a regular VCR. And I think my dad he got it like secondhand, and I think it was like $1,500. And that was like for a secondhand one.
My mind got blown in the 90s. I guess it was mid to late 90s. When I went to the store and saw a VCR for $20. A VCR for fucking $20.
Yeah.
I was like, what the
they used to be so expensive. It was like a huge deal.
What the fuck? And you could get a TV with a VCR in it for $100.
Yeah, we had one of those.
Yeah, color TV. Yeah.
We had we had a TV that had a VCR in it, and we also had a dual deck VCR. So then you could rent movies and pirate them if it didn't have Macrovision. If you remember that.
And in like the fucking middle to late 2000s, I had a little thing. It was like a laptop. You could open it up. It had an LCD screen. You could put a DVD in it and fucking watch a movie off of it.
Oh, I remember those.
Yeah.
I never had one, but I
have
those.
one around here somewhere. Maybe I threw it out. They were about $60, $70 at the time.
Yeah.
And then they plummeted down. They don't even think they exist anymore.
Yeah, I don't think anybody makes them.
And if you did find that, China probably still has shit like that. Probably $20. I'm sure I bet.
Yeah.
$20 for a good one.
The weird thing about...
watches DVDs portable now, you know? You
Right.
watch shit on your phone.
Well, yeah. And that's the thing. It's like, I kind of feel like... I mean, we still have some DVDs. I still have some DVDs, but I can play them on my computer still. So it's like, so I'm not really worried. But we don't have a DVD player. Yeah. We have an Xbox, and that'll play. Well, that'll play DVDs, right?
Yep.
That plays DVDs, Blu-rays.
Yeah. Doesn't do. It'll do 4K, but I don't have a television port.
Yeah, that's right. Like you can put the 4K in there, and it'll be like, yeah, your TV isn't doing that shit. But it's funny like to think about just in our lifetimes. Like how much shit, and we don't, like I said, I don't really think about it all that much because it's like, yeah, it was a long time ago, but I do remember when VCRs were like thousands of dollars, and video cameras were thousands of dollars. And my dad was like real into, he always wanted to have the big video cameras, and so he bought one like in the 80s. Well, I think he bought that secondhand too, but I don't even remember how much he paid for it, but it was massive. It was like this big fucking massive fucking movie camera thing like that, and it's just, oh my god, it's fucking hilarious to like think how much shit has progressed since then. And like I said, I think even if you brought somebody here from the 70s, their probably fucking mind would be blown. You know what I mean? James says, remember when DVDs were the new thing? Yeah. I still specifically remember, and this was probably back in the 90s, because I was a little bit late because, I never had a lot of money, so I was never like on the cutting edge of technology. I always had to like wait. So I didn't even get a CD player until probably like the early 1990s or the late 1980s maybe. Like everybody already had one, and I was like, finally I got one, because I was all cassettes before that. I couldn't afford a CD player. I think I got a DVD player in mid 90s, I want to say. Which is probably like a little later than a lot of people got them. And you know what's crazy? I still remember the first movie that I bought on DVD, and it was Amadeus. Because I love that fucking movie. I still love that fucking movie. And I had it on VHS, and when I got a DVD player, that was the first movie I wanted to get on DVD. And I watched it, and I was like, wow. Like, it looked so much better. You know what I mean? And it's just like funny. It's funny to think about that. Poe says, remember when Marconi's were the new thing? We're not that old. We're not that old. But yeah.
Show you guys what I made today.
Oh, yeah, he's working on his Bane costume.
Yeah, this is my Bane armband. Put it in. Got it in today. Or didn't get it in today. I've got it done today. I built it.
Yeah, he made it.
I'm going to go in here. These rivets, I don't really like how these rivets came out. I'm going to sew it. I got my leather kit. I'm going to fucking punch a bunch of holes in there and sew to reinforce it. But I was soaking it today. Starting to get better. I'm
still wondering because like I said, I don't have a lot of money, so I'm just kind of wondering what I'm gonna do for Halloween. Because initially I was like, I want to do the werewolf thing, and I was like, well, that might be too expensive. And then I was thinking Predator, that also might be too expensive.
It's working out.
Yeah, it looks good.
Yeah.
It looks good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm laughing at... Yeah, there you go. See, that looks awesome. You're giving it away, Tom.
I got the shirt coming today.
Yeah.
Supposed to be here.
Or maybe tomorrow, I guess.
Yeah, it's here tomorrow. So.
Yeah, he's been working on the
Yeah, I got most of the rest of the outfit. Then I have to do the vest. But I could do it shirtless though too, because in the movie he didn't have a shirt on. Certain scenes.
Any excuse not to wear a shirt, Tom.
Well, I got the other shirt like this coming. It's Coyote Brown.
Yeah.
That I can wear with the. I got the pants. I got the boots. I got the fucking combat pants and everything. But I could wear that T-shirt if I can't get the bulletproof. See, I wanted the vest to actually be bulletproof.
I mean,
threat level 3 bulletproof.
That's always a plus.
Yeah. It's going to be threat level 3, which means it'll stop most pistol rounds, not rifle rounds.
In case Batman's shooting at you.
No, I wanted to look at it and you go, man, that's not a costume. That's a real fucking thing.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I kind of always like that too. If you're gonna do a Halloween costume, you gotta do it right, man.
Yeah.
Gen X Jason said, my first CD I had was The Cure, Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me. I remember my first cassette was The Cure, The Walk. The first CD that I bought was Extricate by The Fall. And I very much remember because I was very excited to buy it. But yeah. So I still remember that too.
It says delivered the 18th.
The 18th, that was 4 days ago. 3 days.
September 18th?
Yeah, that was...
Oh, no, I'm looking
it's
at
the
the
22nd.
I'm looking at the wrong one.
It's the 22nd.
Okay. No, the shirt's running late.
Okay. You got plenty of time.
Yeah.
I was looking on Etsy the other day, like for costume ideas, because I don't like to just do shit that everybody else is doing. You know what I mean? I like to come up with something original. Somebody on there was selling this really cool kind of like Lovecraftian like octopus kind of outfit, and I was kind of into it. Like, it's kind of like a bodysuit, but it also has like all these tentacles and stuff. It's really, really cool looking. And so I was kind of like, I kind of want it, but it's like $150. And I'm just like, ooh, I can't afford that. But it looks awesome. I don't know. So then I thought, well, maybe I should do something like Lovecraftian, but I can't think of anything specific. Another idea I had that would be kind of cheap was, if you guys have seen the movie Alice, Sweet Alice from the 70s, I was thinking about doing this last year. The murderer in that has like the yellow raincoat and like the face, like the mask that kind of looks like a face with makeup on it, but it's kind of clear. Like, and then like she goes around stabbing people. I thought about doing that too, but I'm not sure.
He asked me to do the voice.
Yeah, you gonna do the voice?
It seems like victory has defeated you, Batman.
I haven't seen that movie in such a long time. I don't even remember what his voice sounded like.
I gotta practice that again.
Yeah, you gotta practice.
Yeah.
You gotta practice. Yeah, I was just laughing at Pope.
You merely adopted the darkness. I was born to it.
Yeah, I wanted to do like some kind of... They have like some cool like Cthulhu like masks and stuff, which I kind of liked. I don't know. I saw like on Etsy they have like a bunch of really cool bodysuits, and they had some that were like that look like biomechanical, and I kind of like that. And then I was thinking, ooh, maybe I should dress up like the old Fritz Lang movie Metropolis,
yeah.
The robot in that. I was like, ooh, maybe I should do that.
Oh, that robot would be expensive to make.
I know, but then that's what I was saying. I was like, man, because the head is like really, really distinctive. So you'd have to like either buy it or you'd have to make it yourself, which I don't really have the skills for. But see, that's the kind of shit I don't like. One of my rules about Halloween costumes, and I've broken it a few times. One of my rules is that I don't really want to be anything that you could buy an off-the-shelf costume for. You know what I'm saying? Largely, I don't. So, I mean, I've done it before. Like I did Medusa last year. Was it last year or the year before that I did the Medusa thing? But I made my own. You know what I mean? I didn't just buy one off the thing. TBD Dragon says, Tom, what stack or cycle was Tom Hardy or Bane on? You probably know.
He never said. But I looked at his physique at the time. I'm an admirer of Tom Hardy in a straight kind
He has a new movie coming out. Tammy sent me a preview or like a trailer. It looks good.
I saw videos of him training and what he was doing. He was in the gym lifting weights. He had some trainers fucking with him. He was picking shit up and throwing it over his head. He did not get very lean. He kind of got big around the middle. He looked a little bit bloated, which leads me to believe it was the testosterone and Dianabol. Probably injectable Dianabol, which I've taken that, and that gives you kind of a bloated look, kind of a hamster look in your face. I got a picture of it fucking on my driver's license. I was on fucking D-ball on my driver's license.
He had to go get his license renewed.
He doesn't even look like me.
And he was like so upset. They took the picture and he's like, oh my god, my head looks like a bowling ball.
Yeah. Dianabol is an interesting compound. It's on the testosterone branch. So it's not DHT and it's not 19-nortestosterone, it's just testosterone. It's like a super testosterone. It's like a synthetic testosterone molecule with a carbon in a different location. And what it does is it feels great. In terms of like feeling good, I would say Deanna Ball was one of the best feeling ones. Trend was even better, but it makes you fucking crazy. All right, but Deanna Ball felt good. You walked around slinky, sexy. You think you're a fucking tomcat. You think everything's trying to fuck you, and you're ready to fuck anything that comes your way. You're just fucking like a sneaky motherfucking thing, but you look like shit. Because what ends up happening.
I loved your delivery on that, Tom.
Because what happens is that super testosterone molecule aromatizes into fucking something called methyl estrogen, which is a fucking type of estrogen that's not normally inside a human body. I don't think any animals make methyl estrogen, which causes a buildup of it in your system, which makes you feel sexy as a motherfucker. Okay, it makes you feel fucking great. You're swimming into orgasm like a female type shit. You know how women just, they don't ever come, they just kind of fucking swim. It's like that.
Yeah, we have long discussions about the differences between.
Imagine you take sex and morphine and combine it and inject it. That's kind of way Deanna Ball feels, all right? But methyl estrogen builds up in your body, and it's a lot harder for your system to get rid of methyl estrogen versus just regular estrogen. So you get real water. You retain a lot of water. Yeah. So I'm looking at... It was known for building a lot of muscle quickly. But I don't think the reputation was justified. I didn't really build any muscle on it. Some, maybe. But I think regular testosterone would have been probably just as effective and probably would have been less water retention. Been smarter probably just to, instead of going like 200 testosterone and 200 a week Deanna Ball, probably been better just go 400 testosterone a week. It'd probably have been even better. You'd looked better too.
Because I mean, hilarious that you're like walking around thinking you're like God's gift to women, and you're like sloshing when you're like walking around.
You don't care, man. You're too sexy to care. That doesn't happen all at once. It takes a couple months for it to really start.
That's awesome.
Backing up on you, and you look like a fucking hamster. Your hamster head.
Hamster head.
Big fucking cheeks.
But then you're walking around like, yeah,
hamster head.
Oh my God, so funny.
But so
hormones, they're no joke.
Yeah. So looking at him, that looks like testing Deanna Ball, injectable Deanna Ball. There's a pill version of Deanna Ball that's even worse. You hold even more water with that. I think he has money and he had trainers. I think they gave him D-Ball.
Maybe.
I think that's what it was. Supposed to, because when he got that role, they said he cried. They said he started crying.
He wanted it really bad.
He wanted it really bad, and he didn't think he could live up to it. Because if you see how Bane is drawn in comic books or even fucking cartoon movies, he's fucking huge. He's fucking huge. And Bane's on steroids. He's got his own special steroid called Venom that he takes, and it fucking makes him fucking huge. If he needs it, he hits a button, he gets bigger than he was. Fucking, you know, in some versions of it.
Just like Tom.
That's why you see that big green injection system he's got on there. So, and Tom Hardy does not have a heritage of being a big, badass, fucking evil-looking dude. He's a pretty boy.
Yeah, I mean, he's pretty lean.
He's not big. He was not big. Fucking Zach sent me a picture of him fucking off of his old MySpace page, and the motherfucker had some killer back arch. The whole gay world.
I love that picture.
Yeah, he's sitting there in his.
I'm like, oh my God, look at that ass.
Just that's
awesome. I can't even do that.
He's using male energy to just suck the dick into the booties. What it's like? It's like a black hole.
Right, exactly.
It's like gravitational.
Well, that's why
forces.
I love that picture. I love that picture.
Maybe that's how. I'm not saying he's gay. I'm just saying he does have gay appeal. Fucking
yeah.
A lot of gay guys liked him, and he knew how to get ahead in his career.
Sure.
He's a fucking great actor. Fucking,
I love him.
He gives his all. He's one of the best modern actors.
Oh yeah, easily.
Yeah, he's a little bit typecast, but still, he does a good job in the roles that he's given. He was very upset about getting the Bane because he knew that he could not get that big in the amount of time that he was getting. So I think that's why they went to D-Ball, because they knew that D-Ball would give you kind of a bigger, puffier look. Yeah. And some versions of Bane, when he was drawn, he also had a belly on him. Right. And D-Ball will give you a fucking big Michelin Man kind of fucking build out of nowhere. So it was I think it was kind of like a better gamble to go with Tiana Ball. He could have got a little bigger using other stuff like fucking Deca, but he wouldn't have looked that. He would have been drier. It depends on how much he took. MPP'd have been real dry. Tranny'd have been fucking looked like fucking Sylvester Stallone at a fucking Rocky 3. If you took
and
him
then
out
he'd
Tran.
also been acting like a crazy person and maybe murdered somebody.
Yeah. Tran turns me into a total psycho.
Yeah, and you're kind of halfway there as it is, even without that. So you don't really need that on top of it.
Nah, yeah. I literally start thinking about killing dudes. Yeah. So I think I'm gonna kill that dude. And you're kind of serious, but what happens is that the subject changes too quick. You don't really like stick on. You don't fucking get hung up on anything real long. You're kind of all over the place.
But yeah, like that whole time, I was kind of either afraid that you were gonna kill somebody and go to prison, or you were gonna kill me.
Yeah. Well, I think the weird thing is that Jenny thought I was hostile toward, but I didn't feel any hostility.
Well, I know, but you seemed like that. Though,
yeah, I wasn't though.
Because of your like behavior.
It's just the way I was acting.
Yeah, like we were erratic. Like it didn't seem like that to you, but it seemed like that to me.
Yeah, you're. It's a very. Okay, I've been on all the hormones.
He's done all of them. Yeah.
Done pretty much all of them. Mm-hmm. I haven't done Equipose or EQ. Haven't done that.
Okay, yeah, that's the only one. That's probably the only one you haven't done, right?
There's a couple of like.
You've done most of the major ones.
There's
the
a
big
couple
ones.
of like exotic ones that aren't really useful. I haven't done. There's probably about 3 or 4 I haven't done. And I've done also LSD. Tren is the closest to LSD I've ever done in terms of like mind altering drugs. It's like a mind altering hormone.
But it didn't chill you out.
No.
At all.
No, it makes you extremely hyper masculine. You want to defend every female you care about. And you do this by driving every male out.
Yeah.
Especially if he's a weak male. But then you become aligned to bigger, more ruthless males than you. So it becomes very Animal Kingdom. Like, you see a big fucking scary motherfucker I'm vibing with. Yeah. I get along with that guy great. I see a little weedy 80-pound motherfucker, I want to kill him. I don't want him around. Which kind of brings back certain memories in the past where jock-type dudes fucking acted aggressive towards me when I was a kid, without any warning.
That may be what that is.
Probably what it is.
Yeah.
Because Tren's been around for a long time.
Yeah.
Trenbolone.
And it's well known for causing those types of side effects.
And then, I never had roid rage per se, except Tren. I could say that you could probably call that roid rage. It's not really rage in the way you would think. It's more like a fucking simmering evil. You feel like like Mr. Hyde from Dr. Jekyll and Mr. You feel like that. Like, what's his name? Fucking that dude who fucking played Gladiator. What's his name? Russell Crowe. Yeah. And Russell Crowe and Tom Cruise, when they did that scene with fucking from The Mummy, when he meets fucking Dr. Jekyll and he turns into Mr. Hyde. Yeah. I was like, oh.
Tom vibed with that really hard.
Yeah, that's it.
When we saw that movie.
Yeah, I understand.
He's like,
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I got you.
Start vibing with that, and then you start vibing with what's his name? Osborne. The Goblin.
The Goblin, yeah.
Yeah, from
the Willem Dafoe one.
The
Willem Dafoe one.
Yeah, you like that. So it's not good. I did not recommend Tran.
But see, you had a good time on it.
I loved it.
See, that's what's scary about
loved
it. Because James is saying, I avoid people as I'm very antisocial. Yeah, same. So Tren seems to be an avoid at all costs thing.
Yeah.
The scariest thing about Tren to me, like from the outside, was that the person that's on it feels amazing.
Yeah.
and you can't tell them
that anything's wrong
because they don't believe you.
Yeah,
so it's like Tom's acting like a complete psychopath, and you could be like, hey, can you not like tear people's heads off, or can you not like do this and that? He's like, fuck that, I'm whatever. Like he just feels amazing and awesome. So it's like you can't, like, he thinks you're just like making it up. So it's like it's really, really scary because you can't you talk them down from it.
You gotta go through this maze. It took me a while to kind of go, no, I am acting wrong. But
like several people had to tell you before you really kind of.
And then I had to kind of like go, yeah, this is wrong. You see, any kind of trend stack, they tell you you're not supposed to run that longer than 90 days.
Yeah.
Shit, man, that's 3 months. I was on this shit for 5 fucking months.
He was on it for 5 months. And like I said, I didn't know.
Right.
I didn't even find out until after, because I found out after that he'd been telling Sophie about it.
Yeah.
Because he thought, well, I don't know if you thought this, but you thought that I was cheating on you.
One day I thought that. Every now and then I think that.
And
but
you
then
kept
I was
like,
no, it can't be.
You kept going in your man cave and like being, and I was like, what the fuck is his problem? No, because I didn't know that you were on.
No,
that
I was just
still.
going into the man cave to fucking try to separate myself from fucking reality. You know what I mean?
Right.
Get away from other people.
Yeah.
But no, I only thought that for like one day. Okay. But I was like,
I would never.
Well, I was like, well, no, I knew it was an illusion.
Yeah.
Because I
didn't know this until afterwards.
Yeah, I already knew that Tread's notorious for that.
Right. Oh yeah, that's another thing.
Tread's notorious for it.
It thinks if you have a girlfriend or wife, you will absolutely think that she's cheating on you.
Yeah. So I already expected that.
Right.
So when I started, it took a long time. That was like month 5.
Yeah.
And I was going, that bitch cheating on me. And I was like, but how? She never goes anywhere.
I'm like, I work at home.
And I'm going, like, you're tripping.
I don't go anyplace.
You're tripping. But that would just go into like a fucking circle in my head over and over again.
And so I would never do that anyway.
So I had to come in and says, you're not cheating on me, right? You're like, no. Okay, it's okay. I didn't think you were.
Even if I was going someplace, I would never do that anyway. Yeah. I'm just not that kind of person.
But then, like, she cheated on me in the past, though. So that it comes.
No,
it's like the devil. It's having the devil in you.
Yeah.
But then you go, no, I didn't think that before. It's because I'm on trend. I'm thinking that. So
that's the only reason, because you weren't like that before.
You can think your way out of it, but the thing is, I felt great. I didn't want to come off of it. I would have stayed on it forever. And
well, even now, you're kind of like, man,
I kind of want to go back on.
I kind of want to go back on it. And I'm just like, you better not.
It kind of has a very seductive feeling to it, of fucking megalomania. You just you feel so fucking powerful.
Yeah, you kind of feel like you're like God of the world.
Yeah, you're like
you said shit like that.
Yeah, you feel like you have this godlike status.
You're just like better than everybody. I can kill whoever the fuck I want to. I'm just like,
I can die and it won't even affect me. You're like
that's like it was crazy.
It doesn't matter. None of this.
You were
matters.
saying all kind of crazy shit like that. Like you were better than everybody in the like you were the fucking king of the world, like shit like that. Yeah, it was
you're
crazy.
Like I'm bulletproof. They shoot me, I'll fucking get killed, but it won't matter because I'll be intact in the spirit world. You're just fucking nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's nutty. It was a ride.
I'm an experienced airborne infantry soldier, man. Fucking trained by fucking Army Rangers and fucking have some of the training and shit. Which is Ranger training is just about how much fucking you can endure. But so I know what fucking infantry combat's like. If there's ever a go to war drug, it'd be Tren.
Oh yeah, I could see that would be very effective.
Yeah, and in a life or death fucking situation where it's probably going to be a suicide mission, or you're in the fucking apocalypse and you got to survive the next couple of years.
We're gods on Earth.
If you had several years fucking worth of fucking Tren, you'd do well because you'd wipe out fucking all your
because all of your people would be completely crazy.
Yeah.
Just completely psychopath.
Well, you would preemptively attack people so they couldn't hurt you later.
Right.
You'd be
because you did that all the time. Yeah. Shit, man. We pulled out of our driveway at our old house. And like a guy was like kind of blocking the road a little bit, like because there was a party at the neighbor's house.
I got out and wanted to beat that.
And he was gonna beat. I'm just like, Tom, what? Why? Yeah. Like it's fine. He's moving.
I was driving.
Like, oh my god!
I was driving a car.
I was like, please.
And fucking next to me in traffic, I turned over and looked. There was a dude in an SUV laughing, And I was like, what the fuck? And then he looked at me and says, that motherfucker's laughing at me. And I was getting ready to get out. I'm fucking yelling at that motherfucker. I thought he was fucking laughing at me.
Can you imagine if you had to call me and say that you were in fucking jail?
Fucking traffic.
Because of that? Yeah. And he wasn't even laughing at you.
He was talking on his
he was talking to, like, on speakerphone.
Yeah,
and he was just, it wasn't anything
he was laughing. I was looking at him when he was laughing, and he looked at me. And
well, he probably saw you out of the corner of his eye, like, what is that motherfucker looking at me?
Like, oh, you laughing at me, motherfucker? I'm going to fucking kill you. Yeah.
And he was like, oh my God, a crazy person is in the car next to me.
Yeah. I fucking shook it off, though.
Yeah, that's good.
I was like, I probably imagined it.
Yeah, you did. Yeah. You did. I mean... It's not good. It's not good. I'm just saying.
Yeah. But like to this day, I'll fucking go. I think I'm gonna get some Tran.
And I'm like, no!
I can't do Tran.
Can I go stay at a hotel for a while until you're done? You gonna pay for that shit?
It's probably the most mind-altering one I've done. It's similar to
the other stuff wasn't. I didn't really notice any difference like in your personality, but that one I totally did. But like I said, I didn't really know until afterward because you didn't tell me any of that.
Well, you've done a lot of them too. You've done Adavar. You didn't notice anything. Windstraw, you didn't notice anything.
No. Well, like
Deca,
I said,
you haven't noticed anything.
I don't. Well, and we've talked about this before.
A little bit.
Yeah, but it's just kind of like we've talked about this before. I'm what they call what you've said they call a weak responder.
Yeah.
Like and that's always been true. I've always had that. I don't get sick hardly ever.
Yeah. And
I don't respond much to medications. Like I don't have any side effects. They aren't really super effective.
Yeah.
And the same thing happened with all the stuff you gave. I didn't really notice any personality changes. I didn't notice that much. I mean, really, the stuff that I'm on now is the only thing that has actually, like, burned fat and, like, kind of changed my body composition to any great degree. Like, other than that, like, I haven't really noticed anything. And I haven't really noticed any personality change. You haven't, right?
No.
No. I don't think I don't feel any different.
James Holmes is saying, okay, if shit hits the fan, fucking have a trend stash for that.
For one, yeah.
I mean, in the apocalypse, you'll become like Wes from fucking Road Warrior.
I mean,
because and really it is kind of gender bending in a way, because if you see any male that's weaker than you, you respond to him kind of like an ugly female. He's not a man around you. You know what I mean? You're weird. Weird.
Well, and another thing too is that
my buddy who does gay porn goes on trend to do it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, I can see that. It
helps him do it.
Because the weird thing about it is that the other side of that, other than being like, I'm gonna go like rip people's heads off for like nothing, is that you get like real simpy. Yeah. Like you said.
Yeah, I got real simpy too. Like,
yeah.
And then you come, you're
it's
fucking...
it's like super schizo.
Yeah, real schizo. Yeah.
It's super schizo.
Yeah.
But but you know, you'd be like fucking talking about shit that happened like 20 years ago, and you'd be like all like fucking
you're reliving it,
upset about it and shit. It's like, man, I can't believe
I forgot about that.
Right. And it's like you got but well, one thing, and we were talking about this the other day in the coffee shop. I said I will give Trend credit for one thing. That did seem to have opened up some channels in your brain. Yeah. That kind of like, because now you know, and I think that it wasn't just the Trend.
You get a lot of empathy.
Yeah, like weirdly. Even though, like, don't go on Trend. It makes you a crazy person. Yeah. Like, it makes pretty much everybody a crazy person. It's it's known for that. But it also did something to you that you kind of like, because I don't know if it was just Trend or if it was some of the other shit that you were on, but some of the other shit that you were on, like, gave you, like, progesterone and stuff like that. So you kind of had more of an experience of, not necessarily like what women are like, but kind of.
Almost kind of like PMS.
Yeah, so it's just so, and you kind of retained that, because it almost like it opened up some channels in your brain. Yeah. So now, like, when I tell them some stuff about, oh, like, women think this or they feel like that, like, you get it now. I
can understand.
Like, before, I would tell you that and you looked at me like I was a Martian. Yeah. Like a lot of dudes do.
Well, you see, to make it simple, you get bombarded by a bunch of alien emotions when you're a guy. Looking at things in weird ways and then having emotional reactions to them that you're not normal. It's not normal to you.
Right.
Well, a lot of the stuff that you're feeling is kind of like, and a lot of things that you're seeing is kind of the way a women sees it.
Right. Because when you described it to me, I'm like, yeah, that's how we are like all the time.
Because you're under the you're seeing it. You're seeing it a different way because you're under the influence of hormones that women have.
Right.
Men don't have a bunch of progesterone in them.
No.
But when you start dumping a bunch of it in there,
it does weird
It's
shit
mind altering from a guy's point of view.
Yeah.
You're like, so now you're seeing things, you're reading into things, you get paranoid like a woman.
When you describe it, it's very familiar. It was very familiar to me and like to other people that you talked to. They were like, oh yeah, well like we're like that all the time.
Right. So you know.
So I think
I'm not like that now, but I understand it when I see it.
Yeah, because you went through it. You went through it.
Right, yeah.
And so now when I say something, it's like, oh, I feel this way about it, or you know, this is how women feel.
It's
like
mostly about like
you get it,
insecurity and uncertainty.
Yeah, that's like our whole life. Man.
Yeah, men don't really feel it all that strong.
I know they don't.
But when
it's frustrating.
Under the influence of shit like progesterone. Insecurity and instability about life's insecurity, it affects you. It feels different.
Yeah.
It feels different. So it alters your decision-making process.
Oh, yeah.
A lot more than it would be if you're a guy.
Yeah.
A guy with normal hormone.
I feel like dudes, in general, like I said, I would never speak for everybody because everybody's different. But dudes in general seem a lot more, I'm just going to do that. They don't really question.
Yeah, they're not reading into it. It's superficial.
They don't really like read into stuff so much. It's like, we're going to do this. And it's like, we're confident about that. Women are not like that at all.
The normal male setting is very logical, rational, kind of like a methodical, and a superficiality. Kind of
machine-like. It's machine-like.
Like a machine, yeah. Because that's less stressful.
And I kind of get that.
That
because I'm kind of more like that than an average woman, I think. Like, I'm more Spock-like than an average woman. Even my ex-husband used to call me Spock. So it's not just you.
Right. When you're on trend, you're going through this, and you go, well, wait, what is that other person going to think when I do this? How's that going to feel? How will
40
they
million
feel when
things.
they see me do this? What's going to happen?
But what happens if this? And what happens if this? And you're thinking of every possible scenario.
Does this change me? Does this change how people see me if I do this? When you're a dude, you don't give a shit.
Right, that's what I mean.
You know what I mean? So,
but like I said, now you know what it's like to be us all the time. Every single decision of any import is going to be like you have 50 bajillion factors that you're considering at one time.
Right.
It's exhausting.
I called it being pregnant Superman.
Yeah.
That's what I call it.
Yeah.
Because you have that aspect going, which is insecurity.
Yeah.
All right. And then fucking hyper overconfidence happening at exactly the same time, which is something that's not supposed to happen in a creature.
Yeah.
So you feel like a godlike status.
Yeah.
And you can do anything. It doesn't matter if you even get killed. You don't give a shit.
Yeah.
And then there's all these feelings happening at the same time.
It was super weird.
It's all these contradictions happening at once.
Right.
So it kind of reminded me of LSD with mind expansion, where you're now fucking seeing colors in different ways, and your consciousness is bigger than it was before. There's more things in it now. It's kind of like that.
Yeah.
It's just that your emotional bandwidth is now fucking far broader.
Right, yeah.
And it's all happening at once.
Yeah.
And it just has to do with all the damn hormones that are.
I told you. Well, I told you before.
Firing off all these fucking brain cells and shit.
I was like, you get it now, right?
Yeah. Yeah, but I also know that it's an illusion.
Well, it's not an illusion. That's the way we experience the world.
You weren't cheating on me.
No, well, I know. Yeah.
There's a lot of shit that's illusion in it.
Right.
Because you're overthinking it, and your feelings are not true.
Yeah.
So. No.
But see, that's kind of the hell.
Right. Yeah.
Of being me, and like a lot of women are like that too. It's just that. A lot of times, like, it's like you think all these things. It's like, could this be true? But it's like, it's just this constant state of, like, uncertainty. You're just in a constant state of uncertainty, like, all the time. My perceptions could be wrong. You never, ever, ever think to yourself, or at least I never do, oh my God, I'm absolutely 100% right about this. Yeah. Never. I've never thought that, I don't think, in my whole entire life. It's always been like, well, maybe not. Maybe I'm not seeing it correctly. Yeah. Maybe I misinterpreted this, that, and the other thing. Maybe it's just constant insecurity, like, all the time. You don't trust your perceptions. You don't trust your perceptions.
Right.
Ever. Which is, it's fucked up, but that's just kind of the way it goes. You can't really do much about it. I don't know if that's like genetically wired or if it's... I'm sure it's kind of a combination probably of being like genetically wired and being, you know, culturally enforced. But yeah, you're never sure about anything ever. So it sucks. Poe said, sounds like a psychopathic learning curve process. It was super exciting. Like I said, I feel like I didn't really experience it kind of, I don't want to say this, but it's like, I didn't really experience it firsthand because I didn't know that that's what it was. Like I was kind of, I'm aware that he's on stuff, obviously, because it's like he gives me stuff too. It's like he takes injections and stuff, but I didn't really keep track of what he was on or how long he was on it for. So I didn't know. One, he didn't tell me ahead of time that it would do that it would affect him that way, because I think he did know, but he didn't tell me. He says he did, but I don't remember him telling me. So either he did tell me and I forgot, which is not likely, or he didn't, or he forgot to tell me, or he thought he told me and he didn't, which I think that's the most likely scenario. But so I didn't know to expect any of this stuff. So when he started acting like that, I had no fucking idea like what was going on. And honestly, he didn't tell me anything until after. Like I said, he was talking to our friend Sophie, who's been on the show. She's in the chat sometimes, but she's been on the show several times. So he was talking to her, being like, "Oh my God, like, is she cheating on me?" And she's just like, "Look, it's the trend. Will you please calm down?" But he didn't like tell me until afterward that all of that shit was going on, because he was just going in his man cave and hiding, and I didn't know what was happening. I didn't know until afterward that he had been on that for 5 months, and I was just kind of like, "Oh well, been nice of you told me, but no." Zach says, basically same thing with me, Jenny. I don't know why, and I hate it. I hate it too. I kind of envy. I don't know if I so much envy it, 'cause I don't know if I'd want to be like that. I don't know if I'd want to be like a dude that was just kind of like, yeah, I'm just like confident of, even if they're wrong, which they are a lot of time, but it's just kind of like, oh, I'm just going to do whatever because I don't give a shit if I'm wrong or not, because I'm confident and you know what, I don't know if I'd like to be like that. I don't know. We talk about that sometimes, because I was like, I'm not averse, because I was like, here's one thing, and maybe this is TMI. I said, I would like to have a dick for a day to see what that was like. Like, we were talking about that. I said, yeah, that would actually be pretty cool. Like, just for a day to see what it was like. But I don't know if I'd want to be a dude, though. I do envy their overconfidence, but I don't know if I'd want to be like that. You know what I mean? Like, as exhausting as it is being me, I don't know if I would want to be different. You know? I don't know. It's hard to explain. Yeah, they're talking about... Yeah, Zach said, I don't know if it's because I'm gay as well or the autism, but I'm always questioning everything and I don't like being almost paranoid like 24/7. Yeah, I mean, I've never... We remember when we did the show about autism, which I think you recommended, Zach. And I had never really thought about it before, but it's like the more that I looked at it, and it particularly looked at... Because girls don't get diagnosed with autism as much as dudes do, because they don't manifest the symptoms in the same way. But when I looked at the symptoms, I was kind of like, oh my God, that kind of sounds like me. But, you know, I'm so old at this point, it's like, I don't even know if there would be any fucking reason for me to go and get fucking...
I don't think it'd be autism.
I don't know. I'm sure I'm probably on the spectrum somewhere. But I think, well, the thing about it is that I think girls are better at hiding it than dudes are. You know what I mean? I think that's why they don't get diagnosed as much.
Maybe a little bit of Asperger's.
Oh, I definitely think I have Asperger's. That's for sure. Like, at the very least.
There's 300 models on.
Is there?
Yep, in our region.
We might have to go on.
Yeah.
Victor says, if I were a woman for a day, I'd have my kitty cat destroyed. Why? What does that mean?
You're talking about his pussy.
Yeah. I mean, I guess so. I think it would be fun for a day, but I don't think I would want to be a dude. I don't know. I don't think I'd want to be a dude. Because we were talking about this the other day, because I said, yeah, I wouldn't mind having a dick for a day, just to, like, you know, fuck around and see what it was like. And then I said, would you want to have a pussy for a day? And he said no. He said no. I was like, yeah, that tracks. Zach says, I kind of wish I could be a girl, mostly because they get to have so much more fun with clothes and makeup and hair and stuff. A lot more variety. Yeah, that's true. That's true. You can get away with a lot more, just in terms of aesthetically, than you can if you're a dude. Dudes' clothes a lot of them are kind of boring. I agree. And their hair is kind of boring. Less so nowadays, but still. You have a lot more leeway. You have a lot more leeway if you're a girl. And the post says, what's the inherent big deal about normality? Yeah, just because it's the norm, that doesn't make it right. Yeah, I absolutely agree with you on that. I don't even know what that word means. It almost kind of seems like something, everybody just agrees upon, but I don't know. I don't agree upon it. Just everybody should just do what the fuck they want, As long as you're not hurting anybody. I don't give a shit what you're doing. I don't think there's no such... I don't think there's any such thing as normal, really. Especially not now. And I'm totally fine with that. So who's on? Anybody?
Whole bunch of people.
A whole bunch of people are on?
It's busy.
Do you want to hop over to StreamMate or no?
There'd be a lot of competition right now.
Well, do you want to not bother?
Let's see.
I mean, we can go on tomorrow.
290. We can go on a little bit later. There's 290.
I mean, it's 10:30. You know that, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's 290 on there right now. I don't want to. We're gonna have to get off anyway.
That's true. I'm kind of hungry, actually.
Yeah. That's why I've said that.
Oh, okay. I figured it was.
Yeah.
What did we eat today? We had one patty melt.
Yeah.
A long time ago.
Yeah.
Many, many hours ago. James says, no, don't leave. We went on for like 3 hours. Yeah, 3 hours.
Yeah, 3 hours.
We were thinking about jumping back on StreamMate tonight, but I don't know if there might be too much competition.
Dude, there's a lot of fucking people and they're bored.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Might have to wait till tomorrow then.
I'm trying to see... what percentage of them are in shows.
Yeah. I mean, that's always a good thing to look up, because if there's a lot of people on but hardly anybody in shows, then that means there's not much traffic. And it might not be worth it. Because like I said, a lot of it's fun, but a lot of it is just kind of like sitting around.
Sitting around waiting.
Like waiting for somebody to come in and like ask you to do something. So we're just kind of like sitting there listening to music and talking and shit.
Be honest, you're sitting there waiting to get picked up, like horrors standing on the side of a fucking street.
I mean, pretty
like
much.
Streetwalker, yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
What did I say? I said we should make a sign that says we're not a sexual charity.
Yeah, this is not a sexual charity. Motherfuckers coming here trying to get free shit.
It's like we're hoes, but you got to pay for the hose. We're not free hose.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? See, I was gonna make a sign that said that, but who? What?
Look at.
Oh yeah.
She got big boobs too. It looks like Deborah Harry.
She does a bit.
It's like Deborah Harry with big boobs.
Tom's checking out all the competition.
Yeah. And what's funny is that she's not in a job. She's not in a show. She's working. There's there putting makeup on.
Man, this is scaring the shit out of me.
Yeah.
I don't feel so bad though. Like when I look at the other people that are on, because I'm just kind of like, man, I don't go on my phone or nothing like that, but I usually just kind of sit around and kind of dance to the music, and me and Tom talk and stuff like that. But you see people like fucking sleeping or just scrolling through their phone or something like that. I don't want to do that, but
Amy's working.
Oh yeah, there she is.
Yeah,
there she is. But then I look at the other people and they're doing the same shit. They're just like kind of hanging out, so I don't feel so bad. Because we're always kind of like, there's kind of a fine line between because you want people to pay. So you're like, well, you don't want to do anything that's going to, like, just have them sitting there, like, jerking off for free.
Yeah.
Right? So, but you have to still, like, entice people in there, like, to pay. Oh, is she really?
Yeah, she's in a show right now.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm sure she's famous. So.
Okay, there's famous. A lot of people are in shows in the last, looks like 1/3 of them are in shows right now.
Okay.
So it's actually got pretty good. Yeah, and couples are getting picked up. So actually, it's got pretty good traffic right now.
Okay, well.
Look, that 18-year-old who's always in there is fucking into the show. She's always there.
There
That
she is
goofy
again.
ass little
That's
face.
what I was talking about her earlier.
Yeah.
She's always just sitting there,
She's
like,
sitting with a goofy face.
and she's not like naked or nothing.
Nope.
She just like has regular ass clothes on.
Yeah.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
what
go
are
ahead
you,
and go in there.
What are you doing? Oh, she came out. She was.
This
in the,
actually.
She was in the cabinet.
This is actually. We thought that maybe Pinky would be on.
Oh yeah, our friend Pinky is on there too.
Yeah. She's got the mega boobs.
Yeah.
They're like basketball size. You can look her up. Her name is Pinky Powers.
Yeah. Yeah, we used to hang out with her at at the fetish club.
The fetish club.
Escape.
Yeah.
Tammy said, I saw a man begging on a corner the other day. He had a sign that read, "Too ugly to prostitute, too honest to steal."
Okay.
I probably would have given that dude money. I mean, at least he came up with like a funny sign, right? That's like pretty awesome. That's pretty funny. But yeah, so there are a lot of people on.
Yeah, it's fairly busy. It looks like.
Okay. Well, we were talking about going on after the show, but like I said, I
we
got to eat something first because
we'll eat something
my
first.
tummy's growling.
Yeah.
So we ate it like a very long time ago.
Yeah.
And we just had like a little
We're
sandwich.
both on calorie restriction, actually.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I'm not hungry, but I'm
Yeah.
kind of hungry, and my tummy's kind of growling. I've drank a lot today though. But yeah, so we might go hop over to Stream 8 and do some shit.
That's
over
about
there.
an hour away, though.
Yeah. James says porn is spiritual in a way. You jerk to a chick and visually about what? Oh, what? About that woman you're giving her that energy you expel. Okay, I kind of see what you're saying. Yeah, right, Tom. You gonna stay awake?
I'm sleepy.
Oh, okay. We gotta wake back up.
Well, I gotta get to work.
Yeah, you gotta get to work.
Yeah,
Wake
but
up.
I can't get to work until the show ends.
Well, we're gonna end it.
Okay.
Don't get cranky.
I'm getting cranky.
He's getting cranky.
Yeah.
He's getting fuzzy.
You keep saying you're gonna end it, and then
He's
you're not
getting
ending it.
fuzzy.
Okay.
I was like saying you're getting fuzzy.
We got shit
All
we
right.
gotta do.
All right, we got shit we gotta do. Yeah, we're gonna eat something, then go over to Stream 8 later and fart around. So yeah, thanks everybody for dropping by this evening. Thanks for super chats. We'll be back on Monday night talking about a movie. I don't know which one yet because we haven't watched it. We'll watch something over the weekend and we'll talk about it on Monday. So we'll see you guys again on Monday night. Good